Hello, welcome to the Squarebase Show with your host, Rob and Val, as we take you through the Tomb King's book in 2025. Welcome to the Warhammer Old World Shaman, Val Heffelfinger.
Yes, the what? Oh my goodness.
What is it? Is it Rob. A botle?
Rob.
Is it Man of War?
It's a deep dive! Oh my goodness, Rob, it's been a long time since I got to use my catchphrase.
It's been a hot minute. Since we've dived. We've surfaced, we've skimmed. We've potted. No, that's not a nautical reference. I apologize. But hopefully, very much like the whales, we're going to get to the heart of the matter in this deep dive of the Tomb Kings of Khemri, which I think is an auspicious time to be reviewing them. So we're a few months out from the match play guide that's been released, if you haven't been keeping track, which has really changed the shape of how the game plays. So even if we had done a deep dive of the Tomb Kings in the past, it wouldn't be as relevant as the deep dive we're about to do now, with all of the things that we currently know about the new edition in effect. It's kind of like a new season, and therefore it's a new us. But
we're starting with the first book chronologically from almost 2 years ago. Year and 8 months.
I can't help notice that you are currently a slightly different vibe to what normally. There's something about you.
I changed my hair.
I think it might be. What's going on with the hat, bro?
This hat, by the way, guys, I just thought it was a dumb hat, and that's why I bought it. I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan. I was down for the game last weekend. Anyone who likes football knows why that was amazing. Regardless, I went over to the Water Buffalo Club 716, and I said, that's the dumbest hat I've ever seen. I need to buy it. They told me how much it was. I said, it's not that dumb. And but then I found out that this hat is actually produced by local artisans in Buffalo through a place called Stitch Buffalo, and they are all refugees. And so this was actually made by an Afghan master tailor. And I guess the reason I'm bringing that up is just to remind folks that there are people doing good works still to this day, even with all the crazy shit going on, and that you can support them too.
You absolutely should. You really took me on a journey there, because when I heard local artisan, I really thought I was going to be sarcastic.
Legitimately.
No, I get that now. But as you were saying it, I was just picturing a toothless redneck like sewing something together, and now you flipped it on me, so screw you.
Yes, it was just a nice thing, and now I proudly wear my stupid hat, and it worked. I wore this thing all through Sunday night, and I consider it responsible for the incredible epic comeback that I got to witness. So there you go, Rob. Sports.
Well, so if you're not that hyped about sports, we can all be glad that Val is. We are going to be going through the Tomb Kings book, which is very exciting. Before we do that, just some quick updates on what's popping off. I have an old world event this weekend, Mr. Val Heffelfinger. I was kind of hoping you could, with no knowledge, just pick me your first, second, and third place wins. I'm going to take you through who's playing. Okay, so we've got Adam Kunis of the Angel Wargames playing Royal Clan. We've got Alex Lay, again, of the Angel Wargamers, playing High Elf Realms. We've got Andrew Glass with Chaos Dwarves, Ben Ramsey with Bretonnian Exiles, Ed of the Close Order with Bretonnian Exiles, Ian Payton, straight off of 5-0 last week with Mortuary Cult, Jack Stillwell Vampire Counts, James Brewerton with Troll Horde, Kevin Shaw with Skaven, Matt Crawford with Wood Elf Realms, Matt Hinton, Orcs and Goblins, Mike Kabuki with Tomb Kings of Khemri, Nicholas Boucher with Kingdoms of Bretonnia. Wow, an Orc and Goblin traitor. Oliver Jones with Tomb Kings, Paul Lowe with Beastmen Brayherds, Sam with Empire of Man, Simon F with Troll Horde, and Stephen Carpenter Warriors. What is your 1, 2, and 3?
Oh boy. Well, I have no working memory, so we'll go with Ed. Ed takes it just because Ed
first place. He famously always comes second.
Bretonnian X. This is it. This is his week to do it. Is this 2K or 222?
This is 2,600.
2,600. 2,600. Wow, you got 18 for 2,600. This is awesome. Let's go with Ramsey. There was a Ramsey guy. I've recognized him before. Ben Ramsey and
different to James Ramsey.
Different James Ramsey. And then, and then let's go Andrew Glass, Chaos Dwarfs.
Okay, so you're going Bretonnian Exiles, and Chaos Dwarfs. That's what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
No, that was a very scientific prognostication there.
Very effective. Yes, and I'm going to try and make a video of the events this week. 2,600 points. Bat Rep Room, if you are keeping track, you are one of the lovely people who donated to the Bat Rep Room course. Still currently work in progress. Builder, just waiting for some polls to go up and a couple of little things. So that's en route. I'm hoping end of October is a deadline so that maybe November we could bring you some streamed games of the old world. Some tournament streamed games, which I know.
I don't know if you heard though that about half of that budget went to this hat, so might be pushing December. Might need a few Christmas checks to get you through that. But I did celebrate my 63 month subiversary, so there's that going for you.
Exactly. All most people don't know is you got the hat, I got the pants. So I've got the same blue tuft. It's just below the camera line at the moment. So that's but yeah, I'm hoping November we can start live streaming some games. And I know, and if you don't know, and you might be long-time Squarebase fans, but you might not know about me and Val. Me and Val have live streamed events. Val has not only live streamed big 40k events, also streamed for Games Workshop, as have I. So we've got a lot of like experience to bring to what it's going to look like. So it's quite exciting, but still.
If you can figure out the technology, I'd love to remote in. Maybe not all the time, but at least once would be so much fun to just be the ghost in the machine.
I definitely can make you the live switcher, like for sure, like at any point, and also like a chatter with the chat at the same time. That's not going to be too difficult at all, I think.
Oh, sorry, I'm suddenly having a panic attack. I don't know why. Something weird just triggered off there. Do you have cold sweats? I've got a cold sweat.
I don't know. Anyway,
I will do one plug outside of my hat. Squarebase Open Toronto, October 18th and 19th is popping off too. I think we're at 40 tickets sold, somewhere around there. We got room for 80, so we've got room for more players. If you are interested, do me a favor. If you plan to come, just buy the ticket. So that way I know you're coming and I don't have to make terrain for someone who's not coming. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm very excited for that as well. It's going to be very fun. So, and I am actually really happy we got 2,600 people, 2,600 people, 18 people for 2,600 points. That's a pretty good roster. It's going to be really fun. There's a great group of people coming as well. So I'm going to try and make a video about that and give you some of the ongoing storylines, which I'm pretty pumped about. Can Ed not come second? We don't know. That's the real question. It's never happened before. Will it ever happen?
Be selfish and come first this time, Ed. That's he's a generous lover, but you don't have to be.
You don't have to be, bro. Okay, so we're going to talk about Tomb Kings today, my friend. So a lot of people have asked for this. We haven't done this as of yet because we kind of dived straight into the old world. As the old world came out, just so much was happening. It was just too much to try to all do in one go. It kind of fell by the wayside somehow.
It was a lot. There's a lot. Still is a lot.
Yeah. So with the match play guide in, Tomb Kings, can you give me like what your thoughts are, a TLDR on kind of Tomb Kings as an army, and everyone who's watching at home? Obviously, put your thoughts and experiences, because there'll be people who are watching this who maybe are like, this will be my first experience with Tomb Kings. Therefore, your experience with Tomb Kings, if you've been playing with them, in the comments, will give them some insight, so you can bring some valuable discourse to the conversation.
Yeah, we'll give you the high level. We'll give you the deep dive, but then people will go even deeper in the comments. Comments are always fantastic on these because you get a lot of the personal experience. Tomb Kings, I think the high level is they're the dry undead. So they get to have a wonderful bonus, which is they get to come back to life or restore wounds. They also do not suffer the effects of most psychology, if any psychology, though they all are vulnerable to crumble or unstable. What's the new word for it? Either way. So their mechanics in combat resolution works a little bit differently. Tomb Kings have it all, really. They've got a nice big dragon. They've got other amazing monsters. They've got monster killing monsters that we'll learn about. I'm sure we'll spend a little bit of time talking about those rapscallion scorpions. They've got some really cool units and the derpiest core infantry around. But also chariots. So yeah, it's a really cool army. I do have it. I have yet to dust them off, though.
Although this was one of your number, you've played against them a ton. I was going to say, what's your experience of playing against them?
They are a prickly pair. You have to be able to you have to be very aware of their various threats, because especially if they go monster mash, if they're bringing a lot of their big gribblies and their dragons, then you have to know how to receive that and how to deal with that. They also have potentially really strong range shooting. The Ushabti are probably the better option these days, but they used to have those big bricks of skeleton archers with poison. That's no longer a thing, but it was a thing. Could still be a thing, really. It's just dumping dice at people. And then, of course, there's just the as with things that can regenerate, if you do deliver a blow, it better be a killing blow, a knockout, because they can restore wounds a lot. And they can also reduce the amount of wounds they lose in combat to crumble through one of their special rules that they get advantage of. So it can be quite frustrating playing against Tomb Kings, but they're also awesome and look cool.
And we're also in a new setting. Now, I know lots of people out there are doing all sorts of different types of way of playing with the new match play guide. They're not necessarily using as many secondaries. Sometimes they're using all of them, like I am, and I encourage everyone to do. I think it makes the game much more fun. But whatever you're doing, there's also, I feel like you must be playing at least with strategic locations and also special features, because there's the core mechanic of holding objectives was written into the update. And if you don't know, in the summer there was an update making it so that specifically infantry are much better, really good at holding objectives. They're very good at holding the line. A very positive thing. It gives them a role, and it also starts to create actual battle lines in a game. Otherwise, you can kind of corner camp and just fight it out. Therefore, we will be probably talking about the army in the context of that occurring, because it really elevates how these units perform versus how in the past they wouldn't necessarily perform. I think that's a fair take, would you say?
I think that is a fair take. And then there's also the fact that although we won't be touching on it, they do have two armies of infamy.
A third coming soon.
And I think it's just additional stuff they get to use.
Yeah, it's just it's the extra spells and a new character mount, a little horse.
Yeah, a gorgeous guy on a horse. Will be way bigger than the other guys on horses.
also, wouldn't it be awkward if he was on the wrong base size, so he couldn't go in with other horses? Okay, all right, so. Let's dive straight into it, my friend. Let's have a look at the Tomb Kings of Khemri army list. Would you like to take us through it?
Sure. All right. So in the Grand Army composition list, we have up to 50% of your points value, as always, can be spent on 1+ Tomb King or Tomb Prince, 1+ High Priest or Mortuary Priest, 0 to 1 Tomb King or High Priest per 1,000 points, and Royal Heralds and Necrotects are sort of your hero tier.
Okay. In core, you get a unit of skeleton warriors and or skeleton archers. You get skeleton skirmishers, tomb swarms, skeleton horsemen, skeleton horse archers, and skeletal chariots. Many of those. And you get up to one unit of tomb guard or sepulchral stalkers may be taken as a core choice.
Just straight up, there's no conditional choice there. That's cool.
Very freeing, as they say.
And then under special, we have 50% of your army's points value may be spent on tomb guard, Ushabti. There we go.
There you go.
Sepulchral Stalkers, Carrion, and Necropolis Knights. 0 to 3 Tomb Scorpions per 1,000 points. Great limitation there. 0 to 2 Khemrian Warsphinx, not counting character mounts, per 1,000 points. That's interesting. I'm not sure if they added that anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm not sure if they did. I think it's fair to say for everyone watching, it was a very skeleton team that built this.
But does that imply that character mounts should be included in any army restrictions that are listed elsewhere?
Great question. I don't know.
Perhaps we should have dived deeper earlier, and we would have had, because I don't think I've seen that as a condition anywhere, and that would suggest that the general default position would be that if you have a limited unit that can be taken as a mount, it counts towards your army limit.
Especially we're talking in the context of some recent releases for sure. In rare, up to 25% of your army's value may be spent on a Necrolith Colossus or a Necrosphinx, and then up to 2 Screaming Skull Catapults per 1,000 points and up to 1 Casket of Souls per 1,000 points. So, some good range. So if we kind of go through it as an army, like at this point, if you are thinking about getting into Tomb Kings, you have lots of wizards available to you. You have big characters that can go on big monstrous mounts, which lots of some armies don't have access to. You then just have unridden monsters that can go around being a nightmare. You have several types of infantry, several types of cavalry, chariots, and then you have good artillery as well. So you do have a good mix of stuff. It's a very wide roster, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. This does have a lot of different ways you can go, and I think that makes it interesting. I think probably a number of viable options too. If you're looking at like the most competitive options, I think there's some variants that you can play within that.
So the first thing we'll look at, obviously, is the army special rules, which will differentiate the army out from everything else. They are Tomb Kings, right? So like the narrative behind it, which I think is worth at least touching on, is yes, they're skeletons, and yes, they're Egyptian skeletons, but they are like a people or a kingdom that were cursed to be dusty. And they're trying to reclaim their kingdom from their long slumber. They're the Necrons, although the Necrons are technically the Tomb Kings. I think it's the right way to put it.
I don't know exactly how that broke out, because the Necrons originally came out with sort of a very bland Terminator 2 style. They're just robots, and then they did get retcon at some point in 40K, but the undead as well used to be undead, and then they got split into vampires and Tomb Kings for 6th edition, I think. So this might be, I think Necrons may have followed their lead as being sort of inspired by Egyptian immortal undead things.
Yeah, I think, okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so special rules. First of all, the arrows of Asaph. So some of the models are going to have these special rules. This is units with a special rule never apply any modifiers. Their rolls to hit when shooting regardless of the source of the modifier. Now, while this is a great special rule, for sure, it has turned out that over the course of the game, ballistic skill shooting is not necessarily everything you would want it to be. However, if you then have an incredibly good shooting unit where this is going to be impactful, because some armies do have units that are very good, like you do have in this book, actually immediately it kind of ticks back up. If we saw this in other books, we would probably be less excited, but Tomb Kings have access to a very uniquely powerful shooting unit, right?
I think anyone who's just always hitting on 5s with any missile shooting would be pleased with that, because the defense against ballistic skill shooting in the game all over the place are negative modifiers to hit. So if you ignore that, and that includes just like arranging your units so that you're giving cover to units behind, or using cover like actually on the table, whether that's trees or whatever. Like that's how you maybe make ballistic skill shooting a little bit less reliable and safe for you to deal with. These guys don't give an F. They don't care. They're hitting you on 5s. So yeah, the more shots that they get to take, they're the more likely they're to have a good outcome. And then as we'll see, there's even some that probably don't even probably are going to be hitting on better than a 5, even at long range. So there you go.
Let's take us to the next one.
Cleaving Blow, the rule that probably should have been in the core rule book. If a model with this special rule rolls a natural 6 when making a roll to wound for an attack made in combat, it is struck a cleaving blow. Enemy models whose troop type is regular infantry, heavy infantry, light cavalry, heavy cavalry, or war beasts are not permitted an armor save or regen save against a cleaving blow. Ward saves may be attempted as normal. And note that if an attack wounds automatically, the special rule cannot be used because you cannot roll a 6. So there you go.
There you go. Okay, good. Useful in the right context, useful in the right saying. Very excellent.
Yes, and of course, immunity to, let's say, Killing Blow, which is the big brother of Cleaving Blow, does not give you immunity to Cleaving Blow for whatever reason.
And then you get to have a really fun conversation with someone who's like, is there 2 different types of blow? And you're
There's
like, my
actually
friend.
3. And there's no chariot blow. There's 0 chariot blow.
No, absolutely not. Right, Curse of the Necropolis. If a model with this special rule loses its last wound to an enemy attack, the unit that made the attack must immediately make a leadership test. The test is failed. The enemy unit suffers D3 strength 2 hits with an AP of dash. Genuinely feels like it wasn't worth writing down, but it's good that it was there, I guess.
You know, it gave someone comfort. Also, with the way regen works now, that's a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. Because
Anyway.
every time you lose your last wound, you take a regen save now. So if you save that wound and then lose your last wound again, no, I guess because you don't lose the wound. So never mind. It's fine. It's just the last time you lose the wound. I'm glad you guys all went on that journey with me. Dry as dust?
But yeah, reading Curse of the Necropolis was dry as dust. Let's do the next one.
Let's do one that's a little more interesting. Each time this model suffers an unsaved wound from a flaming attack, your opponent may roll a d6. On a roll of 1 to 3, the flames quickly die down, and this model escapes further harm. On a roll of 4+, the flames take hold, and the model loses 1 additional wound. Okay, so on a 4-up, they take an extra wound if they're dry as dust.
Good. As it should be. Flaming attacks really not very prominent, or no, super prominent, but really oddly placed in the game right now. Not really having a useful role, or kind of does, but just whatever. It's just like,
yeah, and flammable, which is a rule that appears more often in Tomb Kings than in other places because they're dry. These are dry motherfuckers. They're dry. So it does appear more often, but not as often as you'd think. So yeah, this additional wound doesn't appear that much, but we'll keep an eye out for who's actually flammable out there.
Okay, next up. It's me, isn't it? Indomitable X. A unit with a special rule. A unit with a special rule reduces the number of wounds suffered due to the unstable special rule by the number shown in the brackets here as X. So unstable is where you would lose combat by a certain amount, and then you would take that amount of wounds. That's right. And then unstable. That's unstable. Indomitable is going to reduce that number. So that's what that's doing. So it's kind of good because. You can suffer a lot of damage, and obviously it gives a role for your characters as well. I do like it when game design gives you the space to create a problem and then it fixes its own problem, but it gives you synergy in the army, right? It's like, oh, you're going to take wounds, but actually if you've got a character, you take less wounds. Decent.
So it is also a bit of a source of, unfortunately, a hat on a hat on a hat. And there's a guy with a big hat. I feel like I speak with some degree of knowledge here. So one thing that undead in general, so that's dry and wet vampire counts, have is they've got 3 ways not to die now. So they have Indomitable, which is going to reduce the amount from unstable if you beat them up in combat. Then they get a regen every time they lose their last wound, which, as written, applies to unstable. And then you can also res them back. So you have leadership abilities that can bring models back. So they are tremendously resilient, perhaps maybe even a little too much so. But yes, anyway, that's it.
Okay. All right, yeah. Makes them effectively very survivable. Okay, next rule is khopesh. This is on you, bud.
A hand weapon carried by a model with this special rule has an armor-piercing characteristic of -1. Note that this special rule only applies to a single ordinary hand weapon, does not apply to a model's mount, should it have one. If the model is using 2 hand weapons or any other sort of weapon, the special rule ceases to apply. So it's just for your hand weapons, guys. Don't get any ideas. You're not orcs or anything. Come on.
No, it's AP1 on your hand weapon, which is good. If you are new, you reduce people's armor save down by having AP. AP1 on a hand weapon is still decent. It's good. It's really positive.
That's fantastic. And also hand weapons, very in vogue these days, thanks to parry. Because you have to use a hand weapon in order to get the extra save from parry in combat. If we could go back up one quick second to Indomitable, because we just did what I did the first time I read Indomitable, which is completely ignored the italicized text. Which is important because I accidentally made it cumulative.
So yeah, note this special rule is not cumulative. If 2 or more models in this unit have a special rule, use the highest value for the entire unit. For example, if a character with Dominable 2 joins the unit with Dominable 1, and you use Indomitable 2. Unfortunately, the stacking of rules in the game is not a hard and fast singular rule. There isn't instances. So if you are playing through the old world, while this doesn't stack, there are other things that do stack, and there are other things that don't stack as well. So there isn't a single through line on the decision on if things do or don't stack generally. So
there has been in errata and FAQs, though, there has been a general trend towards removing stacking of bonuses like that, though. So like that slowly but surely they've worked their way through a lot of the examples where things do stack, including one of the spells from, for example, the Casket of Souls, which we'll see later. Anyway,
next up, we've got the
Necrolith Phalanx.
Yeah, a unit with a special rule that is arrayed in close order formation, and that is equipped with and chooses to use shields, may not give ground should it lose, may choose not to give ground should it lose combat. However, if the winning side is significantly outnumbers the losing side, it will overwhelm the loser. And if the unit strength of the winning side is more than twice the losing side, this unit cannot use this special rule and must give ground as normal. What are your thoughts on that?
So this is something to point out is that the only thing that can happen outside of basically if it's a drawn combat, they don't go anywhere. But if a undead unit loses combat, they can only give ground. They never break and run away. So there's no fall back in good order. There's no flee for undead. Very, very strong. So this is, I think, a unit that the Tomb Guard get, similar to the Grave Guard. You never see it on Grave Guard because they can't take shields if they have their great weapons and usually bring those. But this is something that would be very useful for a unit of Tomb Guard, and is especially good because it means they don't budge. They don't move back. So if you're trying to control an objective or something like that, very handy.
Yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, context right now, having infantry blocks stand near objective is very good for you. Having this so you don't move, also very great for you as well. So yeah, like this is improved since the new rules have come out.
I agree. Nehekhara Undead. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk about what makes Undead special here. Models with this special rule are undead. Undead models cannot march unless they have the Fly X special rule and choose to move by flying. In addition, all undead models have the following universal special rules: Fear, Unbreakable, Immune to Psychology, and Unstable. A character with this special rule cannot join a unit without this special rule, and vice versa.
Yes. So it was interesting, the release of Tomb Kings as an army, because they released Bretonnia, who suffer all of the effects of the leadership role of the game. And then they released another army that suffers none of it, in fact. So quite an interesting early game for a lot of people, just to be like, oh, okay, most of the rules don't apply to your army.
Yes, which is why I think I argued that Tomb Kings would be a decent beginner army, because you just ignore most, you get a lot of benefits versus other army options. The Bretons, though, les Bretonians, they also don't get impacted too heavily by Psych because of their massive swollen leadership values. So there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, these are huge because I've seen games lost by someone taking a terror check and losing a block of units, models off the board very early in the game, even with leadership 10 and reroll and stuff. I've seen that sort of thing. Having Unbreakable, just standing where you are so that units don't overrun, you don't lose a combat, and you don't end up with some unit in your backlines or into your character, or there's so much strength in each element of these, with the exception obviously Unstable, which is a negative, which we talked about earlier. So each stage of these is so impactful in making an army that is going to survive and is going to do the job you want it to do, and also be consistent. If you want an army to do well, consistency is king, ultimately.
I agree. It allows you to make plans and be confident that they won't change. And that is an anathema to Warhammer. Warhammer's about random bullshit happening. So yeah,
you can say bullshit. You got a big one on your head. That's fine.
I got a big old bullshit on my head. That's right. And I've never censored myself before. I don't know why I felt like I should there. Although then again, we do have younger listeners, so please don't talk like Uncle Val.
Oh,
all right.
Shout out to the Zoomers in the chat. This army is Skibbity Riz. Right, okay, so Resurrection of the Skibbity. Resurrection of the Fallen. In a Tomb Kings of Khemri army, it's possible to heal a unit by recovering lost wounds and to resurrect fallen warriors. Wounds recovered in this way follow a strict order. Then it goes through the order, which I don't think is overly relevant. There's also some notes, though. In the case of multi-wound models, each model must be fully healed, recovering all its lost wounds before another can be healed. Note also that at least one model must remain in order for a unit to be healed. In other words, a unit that's been reduced to 0 wounds or removed from play cannot be resurrected. And finally, resurrected models are added to the front rank until it reaches the minimum required to claim a rank bonus, after which additional models can be added to the rear of the rank. If the unit already has more than one rank, models can only be added to the rear of the rank. The unit cannot be taken beyond its starting size.
Yes, that's key. That it cannot be taken beyond its starting size. I will point out, though, in the part that you said, that's not so important, one of the most clutchest things is actually in the order of operations of Resurrecting the Fallen, and I'll just point it out, which is that after you've healed any models in the unit with multiple wounds or characters in the unit, the first guy back is the champion. So that means that you can have a unit of skeletons with a champion who are just constantly bringing that one champ back and then challenging, I don't know, the dragon fighting you or some sort of spooky character that you're up against, which gives you just a limitless pain sponge for soaking up mean attacks, which makes them really, really handy and super frustrating.
Yeah, the effect of this is so much stronger than it seems when you read it out. That's why I like it. Sure. Like the elements of it aren't overly important, apart from obviously bringing back the champion, but that can just decide the game. Just a character that costs a lot of points, locked up by a single dude. Like for an army that, like we say, the unit doesn't fit, like lose the combat and run away. Mm-hmm. You can have big infantry blocks that also generate a lot of static res as well. But yeah, there's a lot of overlapping abilities here, which is interesting when we compare it now, kind of in reflection, when you compare it to other armies. Mm-hmm. I mean, just saying, hey, army-wide, you've all got fear, immune psychology, and unbreakable as unit upgrades. Yeah, like what's your kind of like, really looking at it post compared to some other armies now? I feel like they got given a lot of tools versus what others have.
Hundo P, they have a ton of tools. Like, I mean, Unbreakable as a rule, I think, when it is granted by like a banner or something, sometimes that's the most expensive banner you have access to. It's very, very strong. However, I will say this, that like Old World is based on, a number of editions of games before it. And this is kind of how Undead's always rolled. And they aren't an unbeatable juggernaut by any stretch. Mm-hmm. You can kill them dead. You just have to be aware of where they're very strong and just how resilient they are. Because their general rank and file aren't exactly like amazing warriors, and they have to get their damage output from other sources and things like that. So yeah, I think I really love the way Undead work. I just think that they could turn it from 11, take it down from that 11, because we know how they love to put things to 11. Maybe just bring them down a little bit.
Bring them down a little bit. So you've also got your own unique spell lore, the Lore of Nehekhara. Like the other unique spell laws, there are 3 spells to choose from. Incredible art, by the way, in this. Just gonna
oh my god, yeah.
Just going to continuously say how good the art is. It's gross. Okay, so these spells can be accessed by your wizards. You can drop a spell to gain one of these spells, 3 to choose from. And I'm excited to read them out because I'm going to say Jaff's Incantation of Cursed Blades.
Jaff's?
You're going to say D is silent or not Daff's?
I'm just going with Jaff.
I'll go with Daff. I'll go for Daff. Anyway,
Daff's. All right.
It's an enchantment with a 7+ to cast. Range itself, although this may have been updated. No? Don't think so.
You continue, and I will try and give you an idea.
So this may well have been updated. For some context for people, there was a major kind of edition change. We've made videos about it. You can go watch those videos where we cover all of the details on those changes. Happened in the summer of 2025. So if you're watching this 2026 or something. So the current Tomb Kings book that's out will have some revisions in a digital online rule set or FAQ. Yes, feel free to put complaints. Why would I ever buy the book then? Etc. etc. like, I don't care. I'd never buy a book anyway. So, like, do your complaining. I don't care. But it's worth noting that some elements of these will be changed. And we will try and pick up every element that has changed as we go through them. Okay.
Yes. Anyway. And quick shout out to toe.whfb.app for a perfectly updated rule set, which I'm referencing right now. The only one here that has been changed is actually the incantation of desiccation.
Oh,
which is last.
Cassahas.
Yeah, so Kassar's incantation of the desert wind, on the other hand, has remained unchanged. If you could scroll down a little bit for me. If this spell is cast, it's an enchantment. Casting value
should we quickly find out what Curse Blades does first?
We haven't done that?
We didn't do it.
Oh, damn. Okay, yeah, let's double back. We got to deep dive that.
Still the start.
My B.
Till the start of the turn subphase. Any friendly unit that has the Nehekhara undead special rule and is within the caster's command range, which is either their leadership or some other additions on top of it, may re-roll any rolls to hit of a natural 1, which is a great spell.
That is a great spell, especially if you got big bricks of shooting. It's not a targeted spell like a Curse of Aerial Traction in battle magic. It is just an area of effect spell, or is it any friendly within command range? So yeah, you get a bubble of this, and so if you're hitting on 5s, re-rolling 20% of those shots is nice.
And you generally have a lot less. If you're coming to this from another game system, like AOS 40k or some other games, you don't actually roll a lot of dice in the old world, apart from some unique units. So any rerolls is really good.
And you also don't get a lot of reroll opportunities, period. So that is good. Especially often, the reroll opportunity might be granted to a unit or the unit that the character's in. That's a nice little command range buff, like the like the orcs and goblin spell. But anyway. Now we'll go to Kassar's Incantation of the Desert Wind. It's an enchantment, casting value 6 and 10. So maybe it does 2 different things. The range itself, the effect is, if the spell is cast with a casting result of 6 or more, a single friendly unit that the Nehekhara undead special rule and is within the caster's command range gains the reserve move special rule. If the spell is cast with the casting result of 10 or more, every friendly unit that has the Nehekhara undead special rule and is within the caster's command range gains the reserve move special rule. This spell lasts until the end of the turn. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's an amazing spell because it basically gives you a second move. But what's crazy is that it's on undead. Like, ultimately,
they can't march, Rob.
Yes. That's so true. But unfortunately, this makes them ridiculous. I just feel like this is one of those ones where they're like, I get it. You're using magical power to invigorate skeletons, and move them forward. And you're like, yes, I get it. But also you're like, that's quite a lot. That makes you sometimes more mobile than the armies who are mobile.
It can. It actually takes them from an army that you're like, oh, they're slow and methodical to they can actually zip around a little bit. Especially if the person casting this maybe is on a large target and extends that command range out even more. It can be very, very useful. But I think good. So I like this version. We're going to see one that I don't like as much in how they like the resurrection ability that they have. We'll see that in a little bit. But this is great because there's interactivity here. Right, so this can be dispelled. This can be, you can use items to reduce the likelihood of it happening. There's stuff that your opponent can do to stop this, and then also just the friggin' dice can, at the absolute worst possible time, just decide that no, you are not going to get to reserve move this turn, which I've seen out there. Right, so this is a I think a good thing. I like it.
Now the last one, Ushabti's Incantation of Desiccation, is a hex with a casting value of 10 or more, and this didn't change, right?
It's a 9+ now. So
it's a 9+ now, with a range of 15 inches, and until the end of this turn, the target enemy unit suffers -1 modifier to its strength and toughness characteristics, which is wicked. If the spell is cast, the effect only of any other hex are immediately removed. So obviously, -1 toughness is very good because everything you've got is wounding better. -1 strength is also good because obviously you're getting wounded less. It's a fantastic spell.
Yeah, this is great. In the current meta, the current world of casting magic, hexes are a bit tricky along with magic missiles because these guys have different things that they can do to juice this, but in theory, with a level 3 or 4 caster, you need a 7 to cast this now. So if they have any sort of magic resistance values, so something that makes it harder for people to target you with magic, it gets harder to get off. But it's certainly going to be lots of opportunities to get this off and have a good impact on the game.
So yeah, a good suite of spells, very impactful in many ways, especially obviously the incantation of the Desert Wind. Let's go look at some magic items. So if you weren't aware and you are new to the old world, your characters can be very customizable. They normally have magic allowances for how much they can take, and in an upcoming in the next Arcane Journal, there are additional magic items, which we'll cover in an Arcane Journal review. But then the newest Arcane Journal, which isn't out yet, there's also additional magic stuff to take. So you can really you can fill their pockets with loot.
Yes, I mean that's what the Tomb Kings are all about, stopping people from stealing their loot. So the stuff they still got, probably pretty good.
Yeah, or finding their old loot that they buried right in the mountains.
That's true, in the dunes.
In the dunes. Okay,
dunes.
So first up, we're gonna look at the magic weapons, and always let Val do the most expensive one, his favorite thing. So let's take us through it, bud.
So we got the Destroyer of Eternities for 75 points. So this is your ogre blade tier of magical weapons. So what does it get you for 75 points? We got strength +2, AP -2. We get killing blow, magical attacks, requires 2 hands, strike last, and then notes. Rather than attacking normally, the wielder of the Destroyer of Eternities may choose to make a special scything attack. If they do, the enemy unit they are directing their attacks against suffer D6 automatic hits, each resolved using the Destroyer of Eternities profile.
That's wild.
Well, I mean, the Tomb King, which is probably the only thing that can be wielding this, probably has 3 or 4 base attacks.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So
it's the automatic hits.
Yeah, I guess fair. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Like if if you're hitting on force, that's probably better to do the D6.
The enemy unit they are directing their attacks against suffer D6 automatic hits. So, so as long as you don't roll a 1, I guess you're probably so a 2 or more is better. I guess is in that logic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're striking last regardless. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, killing blow is great. Magical attacks is great. AP2 is great. But strike last is not great.
You do give up your killing blow. Oh no, that's on the roll to wound. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is weird. If people who don't know, haven't tuned in for these before, Val's not normally a fan of the most expensive magic weapon, but maybe not the worst one we've ever read.
It's not I don't think this is the one anyone's going to choose, because at 75 points you can't take Talisman of Protection. We'll see if they have any other ways of getting ward saves and stuff onto them. But it does really limit the other stuff you can take. So I think that's probably we don't see Destroyer of Eternities all too often.
But you also get to shout out, "I'm destroying the Eternities." Obviously worth it for that alone.
Yes. I mean, that is a pretty big threat.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, multiple eternities. Crook and Flail of Radiance, 50 points. This is the same strength as the user with AP of 1. It gives you extra attacks plus D3, which is great. And magical attacks requires 2 hands, and unfortunately it makes you strike last, which means you're going to get hit first.
Either way around. It's a strike first.
Oh yeah, strike first. Yeah. Gives you strike first. Okay, it's way better. Okay. It's gone up 2 steps. I don't know why I couldn't read that correctly. I apologize. So my B. So yeah, the strike first, and then Monarchs of Nehekhara only. But I mean, there's nothing bad about this.
I guess AP is a little anemic on that. Extra attacks are always nice.
Wow. I'm sensitive about that. Come on.
That's a fair point. It's a little sleepy, this one. I do like that it's a crook, though. That's a very Egyptian thing, the crook.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I will give it extra points for being a crook. But here's one you see all the damn time: the Flail of Skulls, 35 points. We've got a strength +3, which is big. AP -1, magical attacks, multiple wounds 2. requires 2 hands, and the Flail of Skulls strength modifier applies only during the first round of combat.
Okay, so it's a flail. They didn't amend this because they did amend a lot of flails.
The Flail of Skulls did get a little errata. The Flail of Skulls strength modifier applies only against enemy models the wielder charged this turn.
There you go. So slightly different. Slightly different. But strength +3, great. AP 1, as you say, a little thin on the ground. But multiple wounds 2. Hello, soldier, for 35 points.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good. And that's a big strength buff as well. So yeah, that's probably getting you to at least strength 7 on Tomb King, I think.
Yeah, you're taking that. You're taking that. I'm not gonna lie.
That's good. That is a value pick.
Yeah, let's go for it. So then you got the Serpent Staff, which is only 20 points. Great. This is only for Lich Priests. And then this is Strength +2, AP 2, magical attacks, poisoned attacks, but does require 2 hands, but also for 20 points. I'm not mad at that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lich Priest only. So, you're not getting a lot of swings with this special staff. And it's not giving you really any magical benefits. Yeah, poison once upon a time, maybe a little bit more juiced up, but yeah.
Would you say the
I don't know if Flail of Skulls is the winner here, I think.
Flail of Skulls, I think, is the winner as well. So moving on to magic armor. Take us through the Armor of Ages.
Armor of Ages 50. Armor of Ages is a suit of light armor. In addition, enemy models must reroll successful rolls to wound made against the wearer. Whoopsie doodle.
Oh boy. This is not the one that got FAQ'd or did get FAQ'd?
I do not believe this has been FAQ'd.
This is the one that caused a larger FAQ effectively upon release. I'm talking about like a year and a half ago versus this summer.
Off the Flail of Skulls. What do you think was being?
No, the
FAQ'd?
Armor of Ages. That's what I was talking about. That's what.
Sorry, Armor of Ages. Yeah. What do we think? What do we think was being addressed? You have to be using your light armor, I think is the thing that was clarified, that you actually have to be, like, you can't be using your mount's armor value to get the benefit of this.
Yes, which is what was initially happening very early in the game. So this is somewhat not popped up as much, although still very, very popular.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, very, very popular. And then you got the Shield of Petra. Well, this is obviously fantastic, by the way. The Armor of Ages, should just point that out.
Yeah, rerolling successful, especially if you're on a toughness 6, dragon or potentially more. I don't know. We'll have to see what the toughness of their dragon is. Those are hard wounds to get. So to make them be rerolled is crushing.
Shield of Petra is 25 points, and it is a shield. In addition to any enemy model that directed their attacks against the bearer during the combat phase, suffers -1 modifier to their weapon skill characteristic. Really feels like you're going to spend an extra 25 points to reroll to wound, make them reroll to wound. But that's still nice. -1 to their weapon skill in the right situation.
Yeah. Again, -1s to weapon skill, as we always say, is never quite as strong as just -1 to hit straight up. But like stacking that. If it's at the right break point, that could mean that someone's hitting you on a 5 or a 4 instead of a 3. So yeah, that's that can make a big deal. And then having to re-roll it, not nice.
Not nice.
The Crown of Kings. This is a common magic item, so we can have more than one of these. Monarch of Nehekhara only during the command subphase of their turn. If they are not engaged in combat, the wearer of a Crown of Kings may attempt to resurrect the fallen by making a leadership test. If this test is passed, a single friendly unit of skeleton warriors, skeleton archers, skeleton horsemen, or skeleton horse archers that is within the model's command range recovers D3 + 1 wounds. Very cool. So yeah, it gives it because I think the Mort priests are the ones who get the resurrection ability. Mm-hmm. So this gives it to a Tomb King.
And also
in a more limited capacity.
A very common magic item.
And it's very common. So yeah, you can spam this as well.
Which I do find. I feel like there's some sort of social critique in the very common magic item of the Crown of Kings being or at least that makes me laugh anyway. The Collar of Khopesh is 25 points. It's only a single-use item, and when the wearer of the Collar of Khopesh loses the last wound, you roll D6. On a 4+, the wound is not lost. Instead, a single friendly model within the wearer's command range is removed from play as a casualty. Genuinely not too bad.
Yeah. Again, the way regen works now, Can you go back down for a sec?
Yeah, sorry.
See, I just want to think about this. Not that I think this would get used very much. Yeah, because I guess you would roll your regen first, and then you would roll your Collar of Khopesh if your regen fails. So it's like a fail-safe against your regen.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Because they haven't, unfortunately, we've now got like a lot of after damage save types, which are not defined as clearly as you would find in something like the Heresy, which is just two values that exist. And I think that's also the same in Heroes of 40k, although they've started to add in, I think both of those two game systems have additional after clauses, which is really embarrassing. They're like, okay, we've defined it. There's two types of save. And you're like, okay, great. Or in Old World 3, right? With regen included. And then like, okay, but now there might be a fourth or a fifth. And you're like, okay, I'm going to cry. Okay.
Yes.
Magic Standards, my favorite. I love me a flag. The first one, the Standard of the Cursing Word.
Ooh.
Oh, it's 80 points.
Look out.
So it's expensive. Battle Standard Bearer only. At the end of any phase in which one or more models in a unit joined by the bearer of the Standard of the Cursing Word lost its last wound to an enemy attack, the unit that made that attack must make a leadership test. If the test is failed, the enemy unit suffers D3 Strength 2 hits with an AP a dash for each model that lost its last wound.
Okay.
Exploding skeletons jump in straight at you. It's probably demonetized the whole video saying that out loud.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's a neat visual, but I don't know how much it's worth 80 points. Like that's a lot of successful. You're gonna have to roll a lot of sixes to make 80 points back. With this thing, does it do anything else?
No, that's it. I mean, also they have to fail the leadership test as well. So it's like,
so it's pretty conditional here.
Yeah, no one wants a stippy on their rules.
Could this be the worst banner?
Oh,
that's brutal.
Hey,
that could be the worst banner.
I'm ready to do worst banners in Old World show with you if you're up for it.
Any day.
All right.
Any drop of a very, very furry hat for Rob to do. To talk banners for an hour. Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on. Hopefully we can find something slightly better.
Okay, Icon of the Sacred Eye, 50 points. A unit carrying the Icon of the Sacred Eye has a +1 modifier to its weapon skill characteristic to a maximum of 10.
That's good though. That's good.
That is good. I like in Vampire Counts, there's the Helm of Command, which you do a leadership test and then you can give basically plus D3 to your weapon skill for the unit. And that's very, very good because it improves your defense because usually weapon skill isn't super high, even on their elite guys. So that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's good. The Icon of Rakafa is 40 points, and unless making a charge move, a unit carrying the Icon of Rakafa may perform a single free reform at any point during its movement. So
a version of Drilled, I guess?
Yeah.
But it's a reform.
Yeah.
So it's better than Drilled.
Which obviously keys in really nicely with also how much movement you could potentially get from also a reserve move as well.
Yeah. May perform a single free reform at any point during its movement too. Not before you move like with Drilled. That feels really good, but I don't, thinking in my brain, I don't think I've seen it very often. But that feels really good.
I feel like it was what was on. Was it not the icon that was it not what was on the big shooty blocks, or am I making that up?
I don't know. Maybe you're making that up. But yeah, that would allow you to change your facing. Like you could basically spin your unit around, go in any direction you want. 40 points. Hit me in the comments. Do we see this a lot? Because like that seems really good.
Mm-hmm.
What am I missing? Unless I'm making a charge move, unit carrying an Icon of Rakaf may perform a single free reform at any point during its move. I don't know. That feels good.
Well, we love that. And the last one, the Mirage Banner, is 20 points. And any model that targets unit carrying the Mirage Banner during the shooting phase suffers an additional -1 to the hit modifier. Not bad.
Yeah, that's good. In the world of Cathayan balloons, -1 hit modifiers against shooting are useful.
For sure. All right, take us through the enchanted items.
So we got the Cloak of Dunes, 50 points. Models whose troop type is infantry only. The wearer of the Cloak of Dunes gains the Fly 9 special rule. In addition, any enemy unit the wearer moves over during the remaining move sub-phase suffers Here we go again. D6 strength 2 hits, but buckle up, Rob. Each with an AP of -1.
I mean, gaining fly 9 is great.
Yes.
Like, that's great. So everything else is like a whatever burger. But 50 points for fly 9, not sure. But still, it's fine.
What's a flying carpet run for?
I don't know. But it's not a cloak of dunes. So
yeah, I mean, fair point. 40 points. So you're getting 10 points for the D6 strength 2 hits.
Yeah. I mean, also, yeah, as has been pointed out, it's incredibly cool and thematic. Just like zipping around, throwing sand in people, pocket sand in people's eye.
Pocket sand.
Pocket sand.
Dale, love you, Dale. Miss you.
So there's nothing wrong with that at all. And also, it gives utility to your army. It's a nice piece to have. Like, if you can find a use for it, it's pretty cool.
Sure. Okay. It is a little zippier too. The cloak. It's fly 9 instead of fly 8. So you get +1, a little extra fly, and your little D6 thing. So sure, why not?
Okay, so a very common magic item, the icon of rulership, is 35 points. Models whose troop type is chariot only. This model doubles its unit strength from 3 to 6. In addition, any impact hits caused by this model have an armor-piercing characteristic of -2 and magical attack special rule. That's not bad.
Okay.
That's not bad. Like, you know, it will help with the leadership of, not the actual leadership stat, but it will help with the effectiveness of a chariot unit, and not bad with that.
I'm not angry at it. And then also unit strength, again, in the match play guide world, where unit strength is important for holding bits of the table, having an extra 3 is useful.
Absolutely.
Death Mask of Karnut. Is that Karnut? Karnut. 20 points. Karnut. The wearer of the Death Mask of Karnut gains the Terror special rule. Special rule. Now, for 20 points, I think that's good.
Yeah, I agree. Normally, I really like anything that gives you fear or terror because it makes you anti-fear and terror. It reduces down the effectiveness of enemy units, which obviously doesn't really help you. So it's not quite like in Two Kings especially, it doesn't give me as much as I want, but terror is such an amazingly effective rule against so many other armies that I would love to buy that into my army for 20 points. So yeah, it's a great shout. But I always like those items defensively in many ways. I think that's always the thing I think about first.
Yeah, and I mean they're also just handy, again, pushing little units, little core units off of objectives with a failed terror check. Like there's useful situations for terror if you remember you have it. But yeah, and also just in combat, just as a latent thing, if your opponent doesn't cause fear or terror, you're getting if they don't cause terror, you're getting a -1 to their leadership if they lose combat. So yeah, it's a very, very handy rule with lots of applications. So for 20 points, it's a cool little that's a really nice little piece of toolkit. There you go.
Toolkit. Next up, we have Arcane Items, and the first one is Enkil's Canopy, which is 30 points. It's a single-use item that during this command subphase of their turn, if they're not engaged in combat, the bearer of the Canopy may attempt to unleash its contents by making a leadership test using their own unmodified leadership. If this test is passed, all remains in play spells currently in play are dispelled, including spells cast by friendly wizards. Obviously, you can then also start to cast your spells again. So pretty decent.
Yes, the leadership check is a little bit tricky because probably the best leadership they have is 8. But if you have a BSB and you're undead, and you probably do have a BSB because you're undead, you're probably able to re-roll that at least. We've seen this item. I think Cathay just got an item like this to dispel everything that's going on. Yeah. Although this doesn't dispel a thing. This is literally just to remove remains in play. Yeah, I'm out.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do you want to take us to the next item?
Sure. Single use. During the command, so this is Heractic Jar, common item. 25 points. Single use during the command subphase of their turn. If they are not engaged in combat, the bearer of the Heractic Jar can release the power held within it. The bearer may attempt to resurrect the fallen by using the Arise special rule twice during this command subphase, rather than the usual once. Okay.
Feel like It's going to be used a lot.
Well, I mean, I'm sure all of the Tomb King players out there are grumbling right now because vampire counts get a similar thing at a similar price point, but they get to use it the whole game.
Yes. But I mean, still getting to use it twice is fine if you can bring back more than the value of 25 points.
And you very often certainly can. So yes, I think probably some people do use this, I would think.
That's very cool. Also reminds me of the 1999 movie The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, and the jars.
Lots of jars in that.
Not mad at that.
Important jobs.
Yeah, I feel like you can't talk about Tomb Kings without talking about the 1990 movie classic The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser.
I'm actually shocked that it took this long because I think quite clearly that's what inspired the Tomb Kings. Is it not? I think it's 99. Is it 99?
It might not be 99. I'm just saying it with big confidence. 95, 99, 2000. No, it's not 2000s.
99.
Was it 99? God, I'm good.
The Mummy, 99.
God, I'm good. Same year as The Matrix.
Very handsome Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, very good.
Fresh off his film success in Encino Man.
And soon to be in George of the Jungle. Like, what a glittering career.
Things take a turn for the worse for old.
Yeah. This is a highlight for a couple of decades for sure.
Yes. He accepts one too many dump trucks full of money. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. All right, so moving on and reliving our mummy life. Scarab Brooch is 20 points. When using the From Beneath the Sand special rule, a summoned unit can be placed on the battlefield anywhere completely within 18 inches of a Lich Priest wearing the Scarab Brooch rather than 12 inches. This gives rise to, I think, Scorpions used From Beneath the Sands?
Yes, they can. And there are some other options too. However, I do believe Mortuary Cult just gets something like this as one of their special rules, which you can tune into on the Tomb King's Army of Infamy any good in a future episode.
That would be an exciting episode. I'm looking forward to it. The answer is, by the way, yes. But spoilers. But yeah, this feels like it's a good thing to have for this army. And that is all of the magic items. But obviously there are more magic items contained within the armies of infamy, which are released at the same time. So you do have a plethora of stuff to choose from.
Yes, there's lots of good stuff in this, and I think I do believe some good ones in the other as well. So yes, not lacking for cool little items.
No, not at all. A bunch of them. So after looking at the magic items and army special rules, it gives us a chance now to look at the special rules for these. Oh, sorry, special units. Well, no, the units, not even the special units. So the first one we're going to look at are the Monarchs of Nehekhara.
Yes.
So this is your non-wizardy fighty character that can go on a big monster.
Yes.
Yeah. So
big leadership too.
Big leadership 10. Okay. Leadership 10. They're all the way out. 160 points. You get 4 wounds at toughness 5. Starts out as base with heavy armor on the king, light armor on the prince. You can mount them. We'll talk about the mounts in a moment. You can take a shield and a variety of both common weapons like cavalry spear, halberd, great weapon, etc. But you can also take 100 points of magic items, and the 2 prints can take up to 50 points. But importantly, you get the Curse of the Necropolis, dry as dust, flammable. You get Indomitable too, which is going to be reducing down how many wounds get lost from units. You've got khopesh, so you got that AP1. You got My Will Be Done, Nehekhara Undead, and Regen 5+ built in. So you start out with a 5+, 5+ before you do anything. But you do have a special rule called My Will Be Done. During this command subphase of their turn, this character may attempt to exert their will upon those around them by making a leadership test, using their own leadership, as you pointed out, a very high leadership 10. If this test is passed, choose one of the following modifiers until the start of next turn's subphase. This character, their mount, and any unit they have joined gain that modifier. So you can have Forward to Glory, which is plus D3 inch movement. You got My Worthy Champions, which is +1 weapon skill, which means that could stack with the additional +1 weapon skill we saw earlier, so +2. And then you got Strike Like the Cobra for plus D3 initiative.
Yes.
Plus D3 initiative. So this is the Tomb King who is going to be leading your army.
Tomb King.
So what do you think of the Tomb King?
I think he's very good. You see him a lot. A lot of times people will take him over other choices just because he's a great package and can be put on some pretty solid mounts. Looking at the zombie dragon, or sorry, is it a zombie dragon? What is he? I don't know. We'll find out later. A dusty dragon. He's a skeleton dragon. Is probably what he is.
Yeah.
So yes, no, I really do like him. He's one of the examples of a flammable and dry as dust character. So he's a little vulnerable to flaming weapons. Not that there are many. But yeah, no, I think the Tomb King you do see out there. The Tomb Prince having just the light armor feels like a bit of a pretty heavy-handed downgrade there. I don't know why they said no, you can't have heavy armor, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. You have to go and definitely scout around to get yourself all of your armor. So we're going to go now and look at the different character mounts that you're able to take. So for the Tomb King or Tomb Prince, take Skeletal Steed, Skeletal Chariot. You can take the Necrolith Bone Dragon, but for the Tomb King only.
There it is.
And you can take the Khemrian Warsphinx for the Tomb King only as well.
Only allowed, so the Warsphinx is only allowed for the Tomb King. That seems that's okay, cool. We'll see the. I don't know if anyone's ever done it yet in the history of Old World, but yeah, the Warsphinx is a thing.
Warsphinx is a thing for sure.
It's a thing that you can do.
It's a thing that you can do, the Warsphinx. And we'll talk about those. Do you want to talk about those mounts later? A chariot is a chariot. It can go inside of a chariot unit. And because you can make the Tomb King is itself already very fighty. And you can make them a little bit more survivable. And we know there's some upgrades you can take. You could, if you want to, have a very choppy unit that's going to be inside a unit of chariots, which have a pretty big threat range. They have a very large footprint, which is a big negative. So very large footprint on the tabletop. But you're going to be able to use them to kind of add to your combat resolution by just being very choppy in the middle. But if you put them on a big monster, that's cool. They're very fast. They could do a lot, but they're very susceptible to all of the cannons that exist out there in the world. Quite a few cannons which exist. And then obviously in the Steeds, you can put them in a cavalry unit. But you don't have an overtly amazing cavalry unit in Tomb Kings like you could find like something in Warriors of Chaos.
Yeah, I think I guess their elite cavalry are the Sepulchral Stalkers on the undead Cobra guys, the Cobra Surfers. So yeah, you wouldn't. I think you just have skeleton horsemen really. So yeah, probably not that. However, on the chariot, you do get Lookout Sir, because you can be joined to a unit of chariots, and because there is a unit of chariots that you can join to, you also can't just be automatically targeted. That was a big change in the errata, because you did see previously a lot of characters on chariots then just trotting along with a big unit of infantry, big unit of skeleton archers or something. So that's no longer really a play, but I think still lots of use in the skeleton chariot for its extra wounds and being a chariot, impact hits, etc.
Yeah, we should take a moment now to look at the Necrolith Bone Dragon. So taking a look at the Necrolith Bone Dragon, we can see it's going to have +1 toughness to our Tomb King. It's going to also give him +5 wounds, taking you up to 9 wounds. It's got 5 attacks base. It's 195 points. 5 attacks base are going to be shooting at weapon skill 6. Well, I mean fighting at weapon skill 6, but firing off. Strength 6, which is hello. We love that. Now, it does count as having full plate armor, the actual Bone Dragon itself. And it's got Close Order, Cloud of Dust, talk about that in a moment, Dry as Dust, it flies 9, also has Indomitable 2, Large Target, Nehekhara and Undead, Stomps, Attacks, D6 for Stride, and Terror. So its actual combat attack is just strength as user, AP2, pretty common dragon profile. It's got the Cloud of Dust special rule. Any enemy model that targets this model during the shooting phase suffers an additional -1 to hit modifier, which is great for the small arms fire and doesn't help at all when someone puts a cannon in your face.
True that. Yes.
True that. And then it's also it can have a breath weapon as well. This is the famous big release for the Tomb Kings when it came out.
Yes.
Very popular and very good.
I think, yes, very good. Fairly self-evident for being very dragony. I am curious to know if the Tomb Prince is a lower toughness, if he's toughness 4. So if that would make it for a weaker bone dragon if you did slap a prince on here. But I think, yeah, you're probably putting a Tomb King on this.
Only the kings can go on the bone dragon anyway. No princes.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty certain. I'm pretty certain I did read that out. But
okay.
Character
Okay,
modes,
then it doesn't matter.
yeah, Bone Dragon, Tomb King only.
Yep, my bad.
And then the Warsphinx also Tomb Kings only.
There you go. My mistake. So yeah. So one thing that you'll be bumping up against though, 195 plus, was it 160 on the Tomb
King? Yes.
Okay, so actually no. So plus 100 points, you're still under the 5. These days, in most army builds, you're going to be limited to 25% of your total points can be on any single unit or character.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you put 100 points of gear on this guy, he's going to be under 500 points. So any builds that existed still exist for this guy.
Almost like they specifically wanted you to run around with this new sculpt that they have, for sure.
Yeah, it's mostly the Chaos Dragon that got slapped down a little.
A model they don't make as of yet. I think.
Yes.
I think
was a little bit more of a bully than even this guy is.
Yeah. But this guy's definitely a bully. But I think some things to talk about. The Tomb King itself doesn't emerge with full plate armor. So that's because we are kind of focusing on the dragon is good. All dragons are good, but they're not as good as they once were. They do not generate as much, combat resolution when you're getting it into combats, which is what you have to do. Normally, if you're looking at a modern game of the old world, there are objectives where there are infantry blocks trying to literally hold the points to score points. Then you're trying to kill them or run them off. And obviously a dragon with terror is good. Lots of units are going to run away, which is, you're seeing quite a few small characters now, 50-point characters going in units that are giving you like +1 leadership or like maybe even +2 leadership in some cases, which I think is or a second kind of go at doing challenges. Which is an interesting thing that's happening at the moment, I think. But that's what a game will look like. Units trying to hold objectives while you're trying to, beat those fellas off. Sorry for the phrasing. So...
And the Bone Dragon, very good at beating fellas off, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
One thing I point out too was with Thy Will Be Done, or My Will Be Done, or whatever it is, the plus D3 to its movement takes what is already something with a stunning threat range, because it's flying 9 swift stride, right? So now you're adding an extra D3 to that fly 9. So it's just got like a wildly large threat range. This thing can beat up stuff very far away from it. So it's very hard to even range it out and not get hit by it. So it's going to be picking its fights pretty well.
Absolutely. It's got the threat range, and that's really what these are for. Like, it's a really fun thing to build up and paint. It's a really fun, again, if you're watching this for the first time, because like, what should I pick up? You literally cannot go wrong with getting yourself a Tomb King on a Bone Dragon and running around and having an adventure. You can't fail. Yes. It's a good. No. If you're talking about this competitively, running at events, it's also really effective as well. But you must be conscious that there is a lot of shooting in the game at the moment. And also, ultimately, this unit's job is to stop units scoring points versus necessarily score points itself. Obviously, it does kill stuff which scores points. So
it's got, as pointed out, it's got a 4-up, 5-up, 5-up if you go Talisman of Protection on the guy carrying it. So that's a 4-up armor, 5-up regen, 5-up ward. So that's immediately pretty good. As far as defensibility is concerned. So I mean, I don't know. That's pretty great, especially how regen works now too. That it's after damage is resolved, like against cannonballs and things, makes it more reliable. So yeah, I think without a doubt, Tomb King on a Bone Dragon, not so bad.
Not so bad at all.
All right, so here we go with the Royal Herald. This is our BSB character. I think he's the only guy who can carry a BSB. In the army. So it's movement 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 3, 3 attacks, 8 leadership, 60 points. And then as far as what they can take, very similar loadout as we saw before. They can take additional hand weapon, flail, gray weapon, halberd, cavalry spear. They may be equipped with a shield, may have a mount, and may purchase magic items up to 75 points. So this is one of sort of your halfway characters between a hero and a lord. Which is cool. They have special rules, which are the Banner of the King, Dry as Dust, Flammable, Indomitable 1, khopesh, Nehekhara Undead, Regeneration 5+, and Sworn Protector. So let's see what some of those do. This guy does a lot. The first one is Banner of the King. A Royal Herald that has been upgraded to be your battle standard bearer replaces the Hold Your Ground rule given in the Warhammer the Old World rulebook with the version given below. Hold your ground. Friendly units within the battle standard bearer's command range may re-roll any failed leadership test.
Wow.
This is massive for undead because a lot of their abilities trigger off of leadership tests. So makes them very, very reliable. In addition, friendly units within the battle standard bearer's command range reduce the number of wounds lost due to the unstable rule by D3. Note that this is not cumulative with the Indomitable X special rule. If a unit is affected by both, use the highest result. So most often, if you got a big character in a unit, they might be Indomitable 2 at best. So there's an opportunity here to be even more Indomitable. Or just because it's in a command range bumble, if you don't have any Indomitable, suddenly you have D3. So it's of all the rules that annoy me when I'm playing, this plus Indomitable in general are some of the most feel badsy because you do everything you can to win that combat and really crush skulls, and then no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. Also, it's also worth noting as well that you just get an uber upgraded banner versus everyone else's banner. We've kind of seen
25 points.
Yeah, we've seen this weird overlapping series of re-rollable different abilities available for Cathay. So I think maybe they've recognized. I don't know what the situation is, but it's a very haves and have-nots world where there's a lot of armies you really feel like that they would re-roll that, or it would be quite survivable, but actually no, specifically Tomb Kings. So they kind of got Mary sued on the rules in many ways, just like everything. But like you've said or pointed out, it hasn't been overly oppressive with the exception of things like Mortuary Cult.
One of the issues I think, just as a general critique, one of the issues with giving these guys in particular reroll leadership, because it's flipped. So in the last time we saw Warhammer Fantasy in 8th edition, Undead didn't usually take a BSB because all BSB gave reroll all leadership, all of your leadership tests. And then the Undead didn't really have anything that super needed that because they weren't, breaking from combat, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas now every single Undead, this is a guy you're taking, right? Because you want to be able to reroll all, your arise rolls and anything that triggers off of in the command phase, like that. My will be done, thy will be done. So yeah, it's a very, very strong rule, and it was given probably because Undead don't lose combat, right? Because they're unbreakable. So they had to make the BSB do something else. I think you could have gone one or the other. You could have just said you reduce the number of wounds lost due to unstable by D3, and the BSB is still probably worth 25 points. And a Demon Prince is like, I have 4 wounds and I just have unstable and I die. And you're like, okay. All right. Anyway, so Swarm Protector is the last rule they have. Should a Monarch of Nehekhara model suffer a hit whilst within 3 inches of this model, you may choose to transfer that hit and all of its effects onto this model. I mean, so you can make him a little pain sponge if you wanted. Yeah, but I mean, do you want to? You want to keep this guy alive as much as possible, right? But assuming he's the BSB, but you can bring him. You can bring him as an non-BSB and just be a Swarm Protector. That's so true. That's so true. Just an additional 2-wound tank is very funny. That's actually really funny. Oh, I've got an ablative 2. How much would an ablative 2-wound guy be? 60 points. Yeah, that's actually a bargain. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Oh, amazing. And you can also use infantry, so you can res all those things back. Oh, that's so wild. Okay, so next up we have Lich Priests. So these are going to be your wizards for your army. And wizards are much different than they were. So if we'd been reviewing this at the beginning of the game, we would have said you always need a level 4. That's not necessarily as true anymore because of the bonuses, and you could just have a level 3 as an example. Really, having a level 4 gives you option to have more spells. So 140 points for your level 2 wizard, 3 wounds, toughness 4, and your level 1 is only 2 wounds at toughness 3. You don't have any armor, and that is worth pointing out because several armies do have access to having armored spellcasters.
Cathay, Warriors of Chaos as an example. And you have access to Elementalism, Illusion, and Necromancy. Be prepared soon for our new review of the Magic Spell Lore video, which we will be covering for the 2025 season. Necromancy, obviously very popular. Illusion also very popular as well. And then you have Arise, which was a big deal. Curse of the Necropolis, Indomitable One, Khopesh, Lore of Nehekhara, which means you can choose those spells we talked about earlier. Nehekhara Undead, 5-up regen, and from Beneath the Sands. So Arise. During the command subphase of their turn, if they are not engaged in combat, the character may attempt to resurrect the fallen, which is the rule we talked about earlier, by making a leadership test using their own leadership. And if this test is passed, a single friendly unit that has the Nehekhara Undead special rule and is within 12 inches of this unit recovers a number of lost wounds. However, magically repairing gigantic undead constructs is much harder than raising skeletons from the sand. Therefore, how many wounds are recovered depends on the unit's troop type and this unit's character's level of wizardry. So, it's going to cost you 170 points for a kitted out High Priest. And if the unit's troop type is regular infantry, heavy infantry, or swarms, then you recover a number of wounds equal to his character's level of wizardry for plus D3. If this unit's troop type is light cavalry, heavy cavalry, or war beasts, then it recovers a number of wounds equal to the character's level of wizardry plus 1. If this unit's troop type is monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry, or light chariot, it recovers a number of wounds equal to the level of wizardry. And if the unit's troop type is heavy chariot, then it recovers a single wound.
Yes, heavy chariot or monstrous creature. So that's the dress. So your mounted, your mounted dragon character can only really get back 1 wound. So this works the same way as vampire counts by and large. At Square-Based Open Toronto added a nerf to this, which is to apply the same change that magic casters in general got. So instead of applying 4 to your D3 roll when bringing back regular heavy infantry, you would reduce the level of wizardry by half. So it would be 2 plus D3 to try and get some of the non-interactiveness of this army reduced a bit. Because Arise is tremendously strong, and it's, I think, really key to their identity. I love it. I love the fact that they can bring things back from the dead. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the butt.
But they do need to pass their leadership test, and they are leadership 8.
And they are re-rolling that.
They are re-rolling that. So it's very likely to be able to do that. Yes. And if I have multiple Lich Priests, I can do this multiple times?
You can do it multiple times. That's right. And so it's worth. I mean, one of the biggest considerations with these guys about whether or not to take level 3 or 4 or just a bunch of duders is the fact that you are getting back a substantial amount extra if you take the higher levels of magic, especially when you're bringing back, just rank and file units of infantry.
Okay. Very effective. Obviously, this is like one of the key elements, and you can see why maybe the Tomb King does a lot for the army. Absolutely. But it's arguable the Lich Priests do more, right?
Yeah, I think the argument probably now, if I had to guess, would be around the High Priest, right? So whether or not to bother upgrading, especially in the Grand Army scenario, because in Mortuary Priest, they do have bonuses to cast that you can get, although it has been changed a bit substantially. So they are going to be more reliable casters than in the Grand Army. So I'm not sure. I do wonder if maybe we've seen a shift more to, level 2 Mortuary Priests for just mostly for Arise and maybe whatever else they might be able to get off.
Also, Beneath the Sands, which was an ability also on this we're talking about. Beneath the Sands, during the command sun phase of their turn, if they're not engaged in combat, this character may choose a single friendly unit that has both the Nehekhara Undead and the Ambusher special rule and is currently held in reserve, so you haven't deployed them at the start of the game. And attempt to summon it by making a leadership test using their own leadership. If the test is passed, the chosen unit may successfully summoned and can be placed within the battlefield anywhere complete within 12 inches of this model, or 18 inches if you take the magic item, or if you're playing the other Army of Infamy, but not within 6 inches of any enemy models. The unit cannot charge during this turn and counts as having moved for the purpose of shooting, but can otherwise act as normal. This test is failed. The ambushers pay no heed to this model summons and are delayed, is what they're able to. And finally, so during the command sub phase turn, if they're not engaged on this character, choose. Okay, and it's only 1.
and it's an ambusher. So this also overrides, for example, the 4-up roll for regular ambushers.
It does.
So you do this instead. So it's much more reliable way of getting an ambusher on the table.
It is much more reliable. Yeah, it's fantastic. And then we have the Hierophant special rule, where your army must include at least one Lich Priest to be the Hierophant. Yes. Now, this is key. If your army includes several Lich Priests, the Hierophant will be the one with the highest level of wizardry. If 2 or more models have the highest level of wizardry, you choose between them. You must tell your opponent which model is your Hierophant before deploying your army. And should the Hierophant be slain, the magical animus of the army starts to dissipate. As soon as the Hierophant is removed from play as a casualty, all friendly units with the Nehekhara Undead special rule lose regeneration. In addition, at the end of the phase in which your Hierophant was removed from play as a casualty, and during the start of your turn subphase, for the remainder of the game, all friendly units with the Nehekhara special rule that are currently on the battlefield must make a leadership test. If that test is failed, the unit loses a number of wounds equal to the amount by which the test is failed. For example, if your army's Hierophant is destroyed during your opponent's shooting phase, at the end of the turn phase, a skeleton warrior is leadership 5. They roll a 7. It's failed by 2, so they lose 2 wounds. The same unit makes another leadership test by 6, will lose a single wound. So the Hierophant is a linchpin, a weak point in the army. Maybe this is why all of the other rules are a little overcooked. Maybe they're just like, we have put like a kind of a destruct button in the army.
Yeah, just kill the Hierophant. Right.
Just kill him.
Okay, go kill the Hierophant then.
Yeah, go kill him. Is that easy?
Yeah, go get him. It's that easy. Yeah, usually not. Yeah, I mean, this is a cool, flavorful thing. Undead also, so vampire counts have a similar, if not identical, rule, and I like it a lot. And especially if you're skating against the wind and you do manage to bounce a lucky cannonball that doesn't get lookout surged into the Hierophant, it can cause a lot of trouble for your opponent. Also, just the loss of the regen rule makes them much less survivable. You're losing a resin character. Basically, the big takeaway here is if you're a Tomb Kings player, don't let your Hierophant get killed.
Don't let that happen. And as Tristan is pointing out in the chat, great piece of sacrifice if you're playing a new person.
That's right.
Like if you want to give like a new person a fun game, just throw your Hierophant at them. And they'll be like, oh, playing Tomb Kings is easy. Second time around, not as good.
Not as much.
Not as much. Also, be careful about casting too many spells. Don't blow up your own Hierophant either.
Yes, yeah, and I guess there's immediately a reason to take at least one High Priest. They have a few more wounds, more survivable. So they have one more wound, more survivable. There's a very good reason to have one.
Absolutely. Okay, next up we got Necrotect. Take us through this, boss.
The Necrotect is movement 4, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 3, 2 attacks, leadership 7, 55 points. They can take up to 50 points of magic items. So these guys are your traditional hero tier character, dry as dust, eternal taskmaster, flammable, khopesh, Nehekhara undead, regeneration 6+. And then the eternal taskmaster rule is during the command subphase of their turn, this character may attempt to drive a unit they have joined to greater efforts by making a leadership test. If this test is passed, until your next start of turn subphase, this character and any of they have joined gain the extra attacks +1 and hatred all enemies special rules.
Wow, that's so good.
That does seem pretty good. I guess the question is what it can join. That's awesome. Yeah, you might see these guys in Tomb Guard if Tomb Guard start kicking around a bit more. It's interesting that they can drive a unit to greater efforts. I wonder what these guys are.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just that, they're driving units to greater efforts. I wonder, I just think, might be a donuts, might be a slave driver. They might be.
An eternal taskmaster, you could say.
Although apparently, no, these guys were simple artisans of ancient Nehekhara. That's why. Not common laborers, but architects of extraordinary skill, whose ambition for far outpaced what could be achieved in a mortal lifespan. So yes, no, I'm sorry to have besmirched the backstory of a Necrotect.
I feel like this is like, wasn't Steve Jobs good at making iPhones sort of a situation. and you're like, no, he didn't make the iPhones.
They were sorry guys, they're stern taskmasters. Very different.
Very
Oversaw
different.
tens of thousands of Necrocars.
Yeah. It's Steve Jobs of the Tomb King world. But obviously, +1 attack is great. You get normally every infantry unit's 1 attack. So like if you most units stand out if they're 2 attacks. +1 is great. It's normally doubling the effectiveness of the unit. Hatred all enemies means you're rerolling to hit, which is also amazing as well. So those are 2 great upgrades for infantry units. But again, infantry units in the new match play guide are very orientated around standing and being hit versus charging.
Sure. But also, I mean, if you can get them to live, I mean, this does make that unit of low quality skeletons, especially rerolls to hit, is big, because I mean, I think their weapon skill is 2 on a skeleton. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see in a second. Like they're like, and an extra attack means just dumping a lot more dice. So if you have a really wide frontage, you're gonna swing back with a lot more hits. That's not a bad thing. I'm not sure that you see them very often, but that does seem like a nice little piece to add to a unit. The issue is that they're not going to be super survivable, so they're probably going to they can be targeted and killed more easily.
So we have your character mounts, which we talked about earlier. We've got Skeletal Steeds, Skeletal Chariots for Tomb King and Tomb Prince. Royal Herald, who's going to be BSB, can be a Skeleton Steed or on a Skeleton Chariot, which again, I think is going to give them +1 wound. No, it's going to make them a Chariot Rider. Then you've got the High Priest or Mortuary Priest can be on a Skeletal Steed, or the High Priest can also be on a Necrolith Bone Dragon. So seeing as your High Priest is also going to be your Hierophant, this means that key linchpin character in your army, you can make it have +1 toughness, give it +5 wounds. Yes, you make it a large target, very susceptible to a cannonball or many balloons. But it's definitely an upgrade that you can give them to make them much more survivable. And having played against Double Dragon several times, it's definitely also very viable.
Yes, certainly is. The Bone Dragon, I think this now is probably what I was keying off of. So that would be a toughness 5 dragon, right? Because I assume the
toughness 5 dragon.
D4. So that is a downside of putting him on the dragon. But I mean, there's lots of ways to hide the High Priest and not have him on the dragon, which is why a lot of times you see the Tomb King on the dragon.
So then also we talked about Skeletal Steed. This is just a cavalry dude's chariot. It's just a chariot as well, and it's got impact hits. Okay, so now we're going to get into our core units, and importantly, the humble skeleton warrior.
The humble warrior. So yes, he is weapon skill 2. This is going to be, so he's 4 points. So he's pretty cheap to start with, but he is paying for his thrusting spear and his light armor. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So movement 4, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 3, toughness 3. His initiative 2, 1 attack, leadership 5, 4 points. So pretty basic dude there. Now he gets thrusting spears and light armor for 1 point of each of those. And then does he come with a shield?
Comes with a shield, yeah.
Good. Okay. So at 6 points, shout out the Empire State Troop. You're not unbreakable, and you can't be brought back from the dead. You don't cause fear. Anyway. Any unit may upgrade. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's worth noting that we have had a big upgrade to shields or hand weapon shield units in the match play guide. They're going to use parry, so they're going to get +1 safe, and also they're going to get +1 attack if they're charged. Effectively, so
you get to fight in 2 ranks essentially. The fighting rank becomes the first and second rank.
Sorry, yes, exactly. So light armor and shield 5 up. Now that's actually a 4 up with regen of a 6 up. So these are basically, since launch, I've got +1 to their save, and it hasn't cost you any extra points. That's huge.
Combat,
that's huge.
And yes, no, I think that is indeed good. This is cool. Sorry, I'm reading ahead. A Master of Arms may purchase magic items up to a total of 25 points. So we did see a couple of low-pointed items that might be useful for. And then 0 to 1 unit per 1,000 points may have the Nehekhara and Phalanx special rule for 10 points per unit. That's pretty cool. Is sometimes that's a per model type thing. So for 10 extra points, it means that they're not budging on their first lost on the first time they lose. And then they also may purchase Magic Standard worth up to 50 points. This is just Skeleton Warriors. They get a Magic Standard?
Yeah, for 50 points.
Sheesh. Close Order, Horde, Nehekhara Undead, Regen 6+, Regimental Unit.
Very cool. Very cool. Regimental unit for people, again, who are new, just means you can take additional units to support them to the side. They can be like a crux. But obviously, these are very cheap. You can take a lot of these.
Yes.
And they are going to be absolutely brilliant and cheap for standing near objectives.
Yes. Not quite on the tier of zombies, because obviously you have to pay for all of your models. You can't res them above their starting value. That would probably be like comparing them to vampire counts. But Skeleton Warriors, I feel like in this version of the game, do have jobs.
They do have jobs.
You can have a very, very cheap, very resilient unit to go stand on something.
And shout out to the game I once watched with Rebecca versus I forget who, and I apologize, where it was just 2 blocks of 150 Skeleton Warriors battling against each other in easily the slowest combat I've ever seen in my life. But they did it. They got through it. Just they clashed in the middle, and it was amazing.
That's right. That got some good engagement on the media, social media.
It did. I posted it on Facebook. I was like, "What is this?" And obviously they're idiots. So that was great. So skeleton archers. They have the arrows of Asaph. So don't forget, this means that they're not going to suffer any modifiers to their shooting. With being ballistic skill 2, they're going to hit on 5s. With everything. They're also a detachment, so you could make them a little subgroup to the big unit of warriors. They are Necropolis Undead, they are open order, and they have regen as well. You start with a unit of 10 and 25 mil bases. You can have a full command. You can also take light armor as well, and they are 5 points a model. So you can just throw a lot of shots at the enemy if you wish. And obviously we've seen we'll see in the Arcane Journal, we'll see poisoned attacks added to this. That's what
where it came from. Yeah. Poison again, not as sexy as it once was because it's only giving you a +2 to wound now. But I don't think completely useless. That still makes them a threat to more stuff. They just don't get the overwhelming volume of automatic wounds that you once would have from a poison unit of archers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so skeleton archers, an interesting choice, but were very, very effective.
And you have to take, I believe, a unit of, is it skeleton archers,
skeleton warriors,
or maybe skirmishers? I don't know.
Let's go familiarize ourselves. It's 1 unit skeleton warriors and or skeleton archers you must take in your army. So thankfully we don't have anything. Thankfully they're both good units.
Yes, they're going to be. You're going to be able to find some utility out of one of those 2 things. Even if you're taking a minimum unit to just go hang out in the back by your baggage train, they're useful. Skeleton skirmishes. We have a skeleton. I don't think there's any change. Although the movement 5, are the other skeletons movement 5?
They are not movement 5. They're movement 4.
For some reason, these are zippier skeletons. Weapon skill 2, BS 2, strength 3, toughness 3, initiative 2, 1 attack, leadership 4. And then these guys may take warboars or shields. 0 to 1 unit army may have the ambusher special rule. They have arrows of Asaph, chariot runners, Nehekhara Undead, regen 6+, skirmishers, and vanguard built in. Interesting.
Yeah, I think Vanguard especially is a nice additional rule to have for this unit to be able to move up. Also a screening unit. They can just block something that might be trying to charge at you early on, which I think is good. Also, in the new modern game, they're a unit that might be able to be decent for trying to go and hunt baggage carts, which is great, or early objective grabbers.
Yeah, you need to invest a little bit more points into them to do that. But yeah, I think either of one of those things could apply for sure. Yeah, just putting them in ambush. You can also pop them up using the from beneath the sands rule because they have ambush. I don't know how often you see skeleton skirmishers, but they seem fun.
I think you see them a bit. I think also a good
the horses you see.
The horses you do see. Also not a bad choice for putting a a wizard inside.
Sure, could be just as a bunker for a wizard, because that means they can still see 360 degrees because they're skirmishing. Although, can you? Yes, you can join the wizard. So yes, okay,
you can. All right, so next up we got the Skeleton Horsemen, also out of core. So these are movement 8, which is kind of important for how fast your horses are. They do have swift stride as well. Some horses are 9, some are 7. Now they are not very good. Weapon skill 2, obviously. They got 1 attack each. They're 11 points. You've got hand weapon and shield, but you're not going to get those +1s to save that you previously used to get. But you can take light armor. You can take cavalry spears if you want. Now this unit is close order. It's got Horde, it's got Nehekhara Undead, it's got Regen, Swift Stride, and Vanguard. You can have counter charge for a point per model. You can have a magic standard if you really want. You can take a command as well, and that's your unit. Now this isn't. I think it's fair to say right now, I'm not really sure what some cavalry units are doing in the old world. They're there, and you're like, they're definitely there, but they're not really fighting against infantry. We've had a massive glow up for holding objectives, especially for like static combat res. They don't necessarily have the output. I'm not advocating for all cavalry getting +1 attack on the charge, but I might also be. I don't know. But they don't really have a job. Is kind of the place where they're at, and they're there, and I'm like, cool, they exist. Not really sure what I want to do with them.
In a vacuum where skeleton, I think there's a skirmish version of this. So one thing is they're heavy cav, which is strange considering how very not heavy looking they are. I guess these would be the rough equivalent of Black Knights from Vampire Counts, but just not interesting in any way, shape, or form. Maybe we're pooping on them too much, but yeah, I do struggle to see where we're using these guys not as skirmishers is useful. Because they're bad skeletons on bad steeds. I guess they're movement 8. That's nice. They're not 7. Just not the greatest unit.
No.
Yeah, we can move on.
We could also just move on to the fact that there are skeleton horse archers, and obviously these got a bow. They are now in skirmish mode, much better. They're still movement 8. They still have the arrows of Asaph, so you're hitting on 5s all the time. So you've got this. You've got a much better harassing unit that doesn't need to get into a fight, that can kind of exist on its own and pop around and do stuff. And it's pretty cheap at 11 points a model.
Yeah. Basically they're the same points. They gain reserve move. I don't think the other guys had reserve move. They can scout. They're just better. And they have skirmishers and open order if you wish. So you can do that. You can do a pivot move because they're light cavalry. They still have Swift Stride. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't use these guys instead of those guys. And they're also chariot runners too. So that can be fun.
Yeah, that's a great choice.
Skeleton Chariots, a super fun core unit. I think one of the key identity units of the Tomb Kings is the unit of chariots. A bunch of rattling bones tearing across the battlefield. We've got, so they are movement 8 because of the skeletal steeds pulling them. The skeleton crew here, for some reason, is weapon skill 3. Awesome. Ballistic skill 2, strength 4 on the chariot, strength 3 on the crew. Toughness 4, 3 wounds, so a light chariot than some of the other ones. But for 43 points, for 3 wounds, not so bad. There are how many skeletal crew? So there's 2 skeleton crew on board. It is a unit size of 1+, so you can take them in singles if you wanted. And then they have cavalry spears and war bows for their equipment. And then any unit may upgrade 1 model to include a master charioteer, a champion. And then you can also have the full command on top of that. Magic standard up to 50 points. These guys love their magic standards. A master charioteer can also take 25 points of magic items themselves. And that's also, by the way, something we haven't said. Because you can res back the champion, I think you get your magic item back. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't think it's explicitly stated anywhere.
No, they did get a points drop. From 43 points up to 41 points.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Thank you to War Masters Forge for that. But I don't think that's probably cheap enough. I think we're yet to see the chariot list for any army be the list. I think there's enough restriction. It's a very big base that once it goes wide, it becomes a problem.
So here's one thing. I have come up against units of chariots a number of times out there, and a unit of 6 of these with is it the Royal Herald? Was that the guy who's the BSB? Maybe kitted up for a little bit of defense is just a pain in the butt because they can be res back quite significantly. Like so you can add back a lot of wounds to them. It's a hard unit to take off the table, and you're also getting that bump to toughness 4. So these guys are not a bad unit for an anchor unit, I think. Yeah, I maybe it's just because I've underestimated them every time I've seen them. But yeah, I think certainly not super bad. Also, they have reserve move built in, and yeah, can have the full command. I don't know. I think they're pretty good. I think they're not a unit to just completely ignore.
No, absolutely not a unit to ignore. Very fun to see on the tabletop. They are definitely not bad. They are effective, for sure. So if you are someone who's like, yeah, I want to do the chariots, it's very viable. So you could definitely play with it.
You're going to want to sprinkle something for damage into them, because I guess how many impact they're only doing D3 strength 4 impact hits, with no because they're light chariots, they don't get any AP on that. So they're not like over their damage output isn't great, but I do find them pretty tanky and annoying. But your points about them being a very big unit, unwieldy even, yeah, probably not unfair.
And you don't want to put your flank to a cannon. That's the TLDR. That's where I'm at.
So Tombstorms are very handy little bases of scarabs. We've got movement 5, weapon skill 3, strength 2, toughness 2, 5 wounds, initiative 1, and 5 attacks, leadership 10, 37 points of base, which just off the top of my head makes them fairly cheap, I think, for swarms, because sometimes swarms are pretty expensive. Any unit may have the Ambusher special rules for 2 points per base, getting them up to 39. Special rules are Dry's Dust, Nehekhara, and Undead, poisoned attacks, regen 6+, and skirmishers. So yeah, Tomb Swarms probably again useful, certainly as sort of a wounds battery for one of the armies of infamy, and also swarms potentially useful. Now can a swarm hold objectives if they're core?
I don't think so. Can they? I don't know. I think I
think that's just locked to core, not necessarily core infantry or cavalry.
You need a unit strength of 10 or more for most objectives to be able to. That's true. To do that. So it's whether or not they can get up to that. And then you've got Carrion, which is a monstrous infantry unit, which starts with 2 models each.
Are they core though? These guys?
No, these are not core. No, I think Swarms is our last core. I think. Oh no, apart from Tomb Guard, if you want to do. I just thought we were here.
Tomb Guard. Yeah, oh, fair enough. Go ahead. Lead away.
Oh, it's fine. This is a interesting unit at 27 points per model with 2 wounds each that are toughness 4. They don't have a good armor save. They do have regen 6 up, but they fly 10, and don't forget you can march if you do have fly in this army. Their skirmishers, their swift stride. 3 attacks base at weapon skill 3 is actually a pretty decent profile, and might be a unit that you use to go and hunt some baggage trains, run around and go and grab some stuff. Obviously, a march of 20 is very fast, but they're enough of a nothing burger unit that your opponent is probably going to ignore them. So they definitely, I think, have a role in trying to score you points or even deny your opponent points. Another good option to use these as is if you are playing the secondary objective domination. These are, you can spend 50 points on 2 of these. You can stick them in corners and make it so your opponent can never control a table quarter uncontested. They're super annoying if you wanted to go around that. Like, it's a very cheap buy to maybe save yourself 250 points late in the game. And it'll be interesting to see because I have an event this weekend, if we're starting to see more players drop in little units to help with domination as a secondary.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make about them. They would need to be. I guess their unit strength 3 because they're monstrous infantry each. So you can kill a baggage cart, you just can't control a baggage cart.
Correct.
I do believe so. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe a super nice utility unit. Also, I think a really cool looking model.
Yeah, for sure.
I really love the Carrion models.
Yeah, a little undead vulture, a little bone vulture. That's cool.
Yes. So Tomb Guard, these one of the big bads in the meta are the Grave Guard. So these would be the equivalent dry version of them. And let's compare and contrast. So these are the Tomb Guard. We got movement 4, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, initiative 2, 1 attack, leadership 7, 10 points per model base. The entire unit may take halberds at plus 1 point per model. Any unit may have, basically you can have full command, magic standard up to 50 points. So okay, that's cool. Tomb Captain may have the 25-point magic item allowance. 0 to 1 unit per 1,000 points, may have drilled, and may have the Nehekhara Phalanx special rule. Both cases, 1 point per model for that. Their special rules are Cleaving Blow, Close Order, Indomitable 1, khopesh, Nehekhara Undead, Regen 6+, and Regimental Unit. And the only detachment unit, I guess, is archers, right?
The archers, yeah. They only have light armor. That's really surprising. But light armor and shields plus the new parry save rule does mean these guys are a 4-up armor save now, which is really good in combat. 5-up against shooting, which is really nice. Really, really nice in my opinion, because most of the units that you see in the game that have that rule don't also get to come back from the dead.
That's right.
And these also get to come back from the dead. The weapon skill 3, you could see why, compared to most other elite infantry, you could see why there's these special ways to get +1 weapon skill into units. Because weapon skill 3 is pretty low for an elite kind of combat unit, realistically. Like warriors are up to a 5 as an example. But yeah, lots of options, lots of things you can do with them. For sure. They've got they've got AP with khopesh on just light armor shields and hand weapons. I mean, great. They're just Chaos Warriors, cheaper, worse weapon skill, but unbreakable and can be brought back from the dead. Yes.
And brought back from the dead. Yes.
Yeah. These are actually maybe too cheap.
I don't know. I think, I can see why people, especially Tomb Kings players, are a little upset about this compared to Graveguard. So basically from the stuff that you can add to Graveguard, you definitely don't get here. You don't get great weapons, so they don't have the damage output. You're probably keeping these guys cheap and cheerful, so that they're getting their AP attack, and then they're getting their parry save. So you probably lean into the defensibility of these guys. So they're just really a tank unit, maybe something that can hold the center. However, they would be buffed really well with a Tomb Prince using My Will Be Done. So giving them access to that benefit of weapon skill or movement or initiative, but probably weapon skill for extra defense. And then you can also juice that weapon skill again. I think, was it a magic banner we saw or an item of some kind? These are guys that are probably a really good option for +1 attack and hatred, though, at strength 4 and that weapon skill 3. Getting that weapon skill up a little bit.
Yeah.
You can stack up a lot of things into this unit. So they're not the same as Graveguard by any stretch, but you can definitely make them interesting, I think. And Drilled is just so OP. It's great.
Yeah, and also having a king, a Necrotect, just like you said, who are also adding to the combat res as well. They're in there fighting away. Bro, come on. I'm furious. Yep.
Could be an anchor unit, but I mean, they do have lots of cheap options for that. If you're just looking for something that is going to be a pain sponge, because again, the damage output really isn't there. Are you going to get value putting sort of offensive or even making it more defensible into that unit so you can just sort of hold the center table with it, or do you do that with a unit of skeletons or unit of chariots or et cetera, et cetera? There might just be better options than the Tomb Guard. Because I'm saying this out loud because I wondered immediately why Tomb Guard with changes to regen and all that kind of stuff didn't suddenly, and the changes to how missions work didn't suddenly go right up the board. But I can sort of see it.
Yeah,
they seem perfectly cromulent. I don't think they're not an unfair unit.
No, not at all. And what's exciting is I think you could build even if they don't have heavy armor, as like on their rules. You could build a unit of skeletons and make them all dusty as fuck and stick them in heavy armor. You could build a very cool unit with a king in, a Necrotect, and build a couple of blocks of those and be like, listen, we're just the undead hordes fighting away. That's exciting, I think. So Sepulchral Stalkers are next. This is a monstrous cavalry unit that starts at 2 models. They are toughness 4 with 3 wounds apiece and only 52 points. It's pretty competitive points per wound. I'm going to say it's pretty nice.
Monster Scav, yeah.
Yeah, they move 7, so they're not as fast as other stuff, but you're not mad about that. They have hand weapons, halberds, and they have heavy armor, so you've got 5 up armor save. And you can spend 2 points per model to have a ambush special rule for 1 unit in your army, which is pretty fun. The unit itself is close order, it's Indomitable 1, it's Nehekhara Undead, and it's got regen 6+, and it's got Swift Stride. So move 7 Swift Strides. It's on the slower end of those units, but obviously whoops infantry still in its ability to charge. Then the Writhing Tail attack is D3 extra attacks at AP1. In combat, a Sepulchral Stalker may make an additional D3 extra attacks each turn, which must be made with this weapon profile. That obviously is representing the snake that's having an attack. And then you do have a shooting attack, Petrifying Gaze. Strength 2. It's got multiple wounds D3, but making a roll to wound for an attack made with this weapon. Substitute the target's toughness with its initiative. No armor saves permitted by wounds caused by this weapon. Ward and regeneration saves can be attempted as usual, as normal. So this is a hybrid unit. It's got both a shooting attack and also a pretty good combat profile. Pretty tough, although the 5-up save is maybe what lets it down.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty good thing to key on there. Although, they can be held off the table and you can use Arise to bring them on. 2 points per model in this unit is not going to be massive. I mean, if you're bringing, 3, 4, 5 of them. These are the snake surfers, right?
Yes, correct.
No, these are just the snakes.
Just the snakes, just the snakers.
Yes. Interesting, cool. The Writhing Tail ability. So do you get 2d3 per model of attacks?
You get D3 per guy, so 2 plus D3, yeah.
Because but it's each one of the attacks is extra attacks D3, so it'd be 2d3 per model, right?
Combat specials make an additional D3 attacks each turn. No, it's make an additional D3 attacks each turn, each of which must be made with this weapon. In combat, a Sepulchral Stalker may make an additional D3 attacks each turn, so it's 2 plus D3.
Okay, cool. And then that's always at -1 AP, strength 4. I mean, certainly not terrible. And again, there's these guys popping up nearby can do some cool stuff in Morcall. Can't wait to talk about that. Overall, okay-ish. This is also maybe not a bad option too for what you were discussing earlier, like with the Carrion, as just a unit for 108 points if they have ambush. They'll just bring on and either hold a quarter or go fight a baggage train, or even if war machines are a thing, go fight some war machines.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like a lot of utility. I feel like you can just condense everything into this central castle for Tomb Kings, but you do have options to have a lot of other stuff.
Yes.
Which is great. So I'm not mad at that at all. So now we're kind of moving into the specials and rare section. We could talk about the other monstrous cavalry unit, which is Necropolis Knights.
Sure. So these are 2 points more base per model. So that's cool. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 2 attacks, leadership 8 is the Necropolis Knight on top. So that's pretty cool. They got 2 attacks. The Necro Serpent, the snake he's surfing on, is movement 7, weapon skill 3, strength 5, and then 3 attacks at initiative 3. The Necropolis Knights have hand weapons, cavalry spears, light armor, and shields. And the Necro Serpent itself has lashing tails, which count as hand weapons. You can give them full command, magic standard 50 points. And the captain, so the champion here, can take a great weapon and magic items up to a total of 25 points. Interesting loadout opportunity there. Interesting. Yeah. So everyone else is cav spears, but he can have a big old axe or something. Special rules: Armored Hide 1. So that means they're, a 4-up base? Light armor shields. Yes. Cleaving Blow, Necropolis Knights in the captain, so just the guys on the top. Close Order, Impact Hits, Indomitable 1, Khopesh, Nehekhara and Undead, Poison Attacks, the Necroservants only, Regen 6+, and Swift Stride. Interesting. Oh, one thing I didn't say about the Tomb Guard, they have Cleaving Blow, so that's one way to help their damage output. I think that was pointed out in chat. And same thing is here. So these are Tomb Guard on snakes. Yeah, I don't know.
I think so. They're on a massive base. They're on a 50 by 100 mil base. So there's nothing wrong with that. And points per wound, you're actually in a pretty competitive price point. Like if you want to build these units to put them on the board, but if you to get these bases out and start stacking even 4 wide, it's a huge volume of space. Now that means that yes, you can definitely get something, and you have a very wide arc, but it also means a lot of things can hit you. So you are a bit of a sponge and a bit of a front line, which may be why the price point is pretty competitive for these, because actually lots can hit you, and also you're quite difficult to navigate and manage. If you want to bring a lot of attacks onto a character, or even into a monster, probably a unit 4 wide is hitting with 2 of the guys into a monster. Versus 4 into a monster. So these base sizes do actually have a really big impact in the game. Like big dragon is going to just go in, it's going to hit with everything, and you actually might lose 50% of your output going back into it. Not that these are particularly good at fighting monsters anyway, but just as a kind of point, same with anything that they might be hitting. That said, you get a lot of attacks from the actual guys, which I think is cool. I like these. I think they're fun.
Kind of strange, and I off the top of my head, I don't think in the Army of Infamy you can bring them even as a character mount.
No.
Sometimes like this seems like it would have been an obvious kit bash to have like a be able to put a Tomb King on something like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Or something else. But I feel like they're not quite good enough. I have seen them. I mean, they are super cool. But like even like comparing these guys against Demigryphs. Or similar stuff, or even Mournfang Cav. I love Mournfang Cav. I think quite a lot more expensive. I don't know if you're really getting that damage output. Like, what are they fighting there? They're just going to go try and crush a block of infantry? Is that what they're up to?
Yeah. What's their job? Who are they hitting?
What's their job? It is worth considering too. Like these guys are 54 points. The chariots are, I guess, similar toughness and wounds density. But they're 41 points and core. So, and the exact same base conundrum that you have, these guys have a bit more damage output potential, I guess, but can't do all the other stuff core guys can do. And you can't put a character in a chariot in this unit and have them hide.
Exactly.
I guess you could put them on a skeletal steed and have them hide in here, but that's about it.
Our next unit is Ushabti. It's a monstrous infantry unit that starts with 3 models. Now, they're toughness 4 each, and they are 3 wounds each. And at 49 points, that makes them pretty cheap. They initially start, per wound, sorry. Leadership 8 base, great. Move 5. They've got 3 attacks in close combat. At weapon skill 4, which is pretty good for Tomb Kings, at strength 4. And they start with a heavy blade, which is strength +2, so it's going to make them strength 6. AP 3, which is bananas, but they are strike last and they require 2 hands, which means that their 5-up armor save is all that's going to, and their 6-up regen is all on their toughness 4. It's all that's going to survive until they get hit. Now, I'm personally a fan of ogres, trolls, and kind of those monstrous infantry units. They're slow, like infantry units, and they don't generate combat res, but little units of 3 can work, I think, really well in conjunction. They're the hammer to what is an infantry block's anvil. And that's a pretty good combo. But what is very popular, obviously, is changing out the ritual blades for the great bows. Doesn't cost you any points, and the great bow is a 30-inch shot, strength 6, wow, AP 1. With armor bane 2, and it causes multi-wounds 2, and it has a volley fire. It's basically a bolt thrower. And don't forget, they have the arrows of Asaph with their ballistic skill 3. It means they're basically always hitting on 4s.
Is it
4s or 5s?
I think the rule is they can only the worst they can hit on is a 5. So sometimes these guys will hit on 4s.
It's 4s. I think it's
4s?
I think it's you ignore all negative modifiers, the arrows of Asaph.
Well, then, okay. They're always hitting on 4s. That's even better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's always 4s. You're thinking of maybe 8th edition, my friend.
It's plausible. I have gotten many things wrong before.
So what this means is, now, kind of weirdly, you end up inefficient as a bow because you basically paying the same amount of points per attack. So if you do get in combat with these guys, they're obviously great. But we definitely see people taking like 8 of these, 2 rows of 4 or like 2 units of 4 and shooting down wind. That is not a terrible shooting profile. 8 shots. Hitting on 4, so you're hitting with 4 of them. Strength 6, that's amazing. AP 1, but armor bane 2, and then multi wounds 2. It's just a great profile. And if you do get into combat with them, they're still going to have hand weapons, which are AP 1, and there's going to be 3 strength 4 attacks coming out of each guy. So your regular cavalry or infantry unit is actually not going to fight this unit very well.
Yeah, I agree. They are obviously not super tough, but they can be rezzed. They can be brought back. So if you are losing guys, unless you've knocked them out, they're probably coming back in a pretty good hurry. I think these guys do have a lot of play. This is probably where a lot of the Tomb King shooting has gone over to, just because of that crazy profile. Strength 6, AP 1, Armor Bane 2, Multiple Wounds 2. That's great. Always hitting on 4s, as we've established. I think it's great. Put these guys on a hill. They can fire in 2 ranks. Not too bad.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, these are great. People use these a lot. People love these. They're very strong, and you can see why. But maybe how do you feel about the statement, a good threat to balloons?
Potential Maul? Balloons just have a lot of saves, especially the character ones. Mm-hmm. So they could be a threat, but I think balloons would immediately recognize that and try and nuke them as fast as possible.
I mean, the range is amazing, 30 inches.
Yes, they are a rare unit that balloons would, I think, do they still outrange them? What's the range? I think range, they might even be 32 inches on the balloons, but I don't know.
Okay.
All right, Tomb Scorpion. This is a good one. All right, Tomb Scorpion. Movement 7, weapon skill 4, strength and toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 4 attacks, leadership 8, 70 points. Ooh, that's a lot of points, Val. Oh, why are they so good? Equipment: decapitating claws, see below, envenom sting, see below, and bone carapace counts as heavy armor. So they've got 5 up heavy armor. They may have the ambusher special rule for 5 points. They're going to be 75 points if you do that. They have close order, indomitable 1, magic res 1 built in, Nehekhara undead, regen 6+, stomp attacks D3, swift stride, and vanguard. Cool. They have decapitating claws, which is a strength user, AP 2, killing blow, monster slayer attack, which is pretty cool. And then they have envenom sting, which is strength user, poison attacks, strikes first. In combat, this model may choose to make one of its attacks each turn with this weapon, which it won't.
Which you won't know, because it wants a monster. It wants a monster slay you. Is what it wants to do.
Killing blow and monster slay you. For 70 points, for four swings at potentially taking out your character on a dragon or whatever. Pretty solid. They can be surfaced from beneath the sands. They're just very, very good. And toughness 5, 3 wounds, even with not the greatest armor saves and stuff, requires some effort to kill them.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, Swiss Stride, they're going to make the charges off, and you're going to trade up. It's opportunity cost, right? 70 points, you can trade up for 500 points, and you're going to be over the moon about that. And you can do that multiple times. So your opponent doesn't have to just run the gauntlet once. They might have to run the gauntlet multiple times against these Tomb Scorpions that are going to pose a threat. So yeah, they're just super effective. They are just too cheap compared to other units in the game. Maybe it's healthy having them in the meta, in the meta game of people playing around, I might just take all monsters. So don't forget, Jimmy's got Tomb Kings. He loves them Tomb Scorpions. You're like, okay, yeah, that's a good point. So but
a theme we're gonna see is that Tomb King monsters also hate monsters. So that's
it's an army that hates monsters for sure.
Yes,
for sure. So Tomb Scorpion is super popular and makes it in here. Next up, we have the Khemrian Warsphinx.
All right, I'd love to know about the Khemrian Warsphinx. Tell me about it.
So it can also be a character mount as well, so it's worth remembering.
Keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah, so it's 175 points, and it is a behemoth, and it has got toughness 6 with 5 wounds on a 5-up armor save, which I think is maybe where it's disappointing for a lot of people. It moves 6, so it's not that fast. And it's got 4 attacks at strength 5 with its wicked claws, which are AP2. It can have 1 attack at strike first with its poisoned attack in venom sting if it chooses to. It does have a crew that have cavalry spears and short bows, which are the arrows of Asaph, and it has got 2 crews, so you can get 2 shots out of these guys if you want, which is cute. Then it's close order. It's indomitable too, which is great. So getting in combat is going to be tough to just kill it via that. It's got large target. It's Nehekhara and Undead Regen 6+. It's D3 stomp attacks. And it causes terror. A lot of monsters that are very effective are D6 stomp attacks.
Yeah.
So that's maybe one of the negatives for this bad boy. Ultimately, it doesn't have swift stride. So it's just not as fast as you would see from the other monsters available in this roster. It doesn't have the output that other monsters in this roster have as well. Not everyone can be a winner, but it also doesn't really have a job. Doesn't do anything that the other things don't do as well. It's a combat piece. Doesn't have a support role to it. Doesn't do anything beside that. It's a character mount, sure. And a cheaper character mount, which is nice. So that it's got that going for it. But apart from that, it doesn't really have a job in the army.
Yeah, I would say lacking a job. And it just doesn't, considering that so many of the Tomb King's options have, they're just outstanding at what they do. The Warsphinx isn't particularly good at anything. And it's a bit of a bummer, man, because it's cool. It's got it's also one of the rare Howdah units out there. Yes. So, that has its benefits and downsides. Main downside being that you're always, even if it is got a Tomb King on its back. Oh, no, if it had a Tomb King, you'd be striking against Tomb King's weapon skill. Sorry about that. Regardless, for example, Tomb Guard on the snakes, they get 2 attacks each, but not on the Warsphinx. They get 1 attack each. Like you said, it has less stomps. At least it causes terror. That's cool. I don't know. There's just other things that you would really want to take instead of this, and that's what it does. I think we missed its breath weapon or something. It does have a breath weapon that you can take, which is strength 4 AP1, but it costs you 20 more points. Good point. Never mind. This one's just a bit of a bummer unit card. Maybe next edition, guys.
Next edition, we'll see something that makes this more viable for sure.
We got the Necrolith Colossus coming at you. Movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 2, strength 6, toughness 6, 5 wounds, initiative 1, 4 attacks, 8 leadership, 160 points. He's a behemoth on a 50 by 50 millimeter base. I think this is the Bone Giant, I believe, right? Yeah. Paired great khopeshes, see below, and heavy armor. Close order, indomitable 2. Large target, Nehekhara and Undead. Regeneration 6+, stomp attacks D3, terror, timber, and unstoppable assault. All right, so what does that mean? During the combat phase of any turn in which this model charged, every attack it makes that causes an unsaved wound allows it to immediately make 1 additional attack. These additional attacks also benefit from the special rule. Oh, wow, so it can fight infinitely?
No. I'm sure it's been updated.
Also benefit from the special rule?
I'm sure it's been updated.
Has it? I don't think so.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't know. This is a great giant.
Yeah, this is a great. It's cheap. It's 160 points. It's up there with Chaos Spawn, Giant Chaos Spawn.
He's got AP2, Killing Blow, and requires 2 hands. He's 4 attacks. So does he have any armor? No armor. No heavy armor. This is the best giant in the game. It's got to be because he's undead. He's indomitable 2 as well, so he's not suffering. I don't want to overstate the Necrolith Colossus here. There's probably just better monsters out there, but it's a cool model, and also unlike the Warsphinx, I feel like this guy actually does have a job. He can go beat people up. It's only 4 attacks against a weapon skill 3. That's the problem. Yeah, but
I think that's the issue. And it's also just the D3 stomps versus the D6 stomps. So
sure.
Yeah. A classic. Okay, next up we got the Necrosphinx. Now this is popular. Okay.
Here we go.
195 points. It moves 6, but don't worry, it flies 9. Yikes. Okay, this bad boy's going to attack you with 5 attacks at strength 5 with its cleaving blades. which are AP1 with Killing Blow, and one model may take an additional attack each turn with a weapon that is strength +5. That's right, +5, making it strength 10. AP4, Killing Blow, Monster Slayer, and Strike Last. Get wrecked. And also, it can have an Envenom sting with Strike First if it wants to. Now, it's Indomitable too, so it's going to be very tough to shift because it is toughness 6 with 6 wounds and heavy armor is maybe its downside, but it does have regen 5 up, makes it a little bit more survivable. Now, lastly, like we've said, if we're comparing this to, our Warsphinx, what's the difference? Well, this flies 9 and it's got Swift Stride, so it's flying across the board. It's also got D3 + 2 stomps, which is actually statistically better than D6 stomps. So, it's just all around better in every way. Does lots of output, is very fighty, survivable-ish, but most importantly, is very fast, so it can pick its battles, and it's only 195 points. This is a 20-point upgrade on the Warsphinx, and you get just a million more things.
And the Bone Giant, the Necrolith Colossus.
Correct.
Also, I don't think anyone has ever used this rule against me, Soul Reaper, which allows you to just call out a single character and then reroll a hit of natural 1. Reroll any hits of a natural 1 made against that character. So that's going to maybe help you on your Decapitating Strike with the Killing Blow and Monster Slayer.
Definitely had that called against me. A Chaos Lord on a dragon. Straight away, I'll pick you.
Seems like an obvious choice.
No, an obvious choice. So yeah, this is just a point. This is just a thing that happens a little bit in the old world, which I think is fair. Is some units just don't have some units have the same role in an army, but they're just better at the role. And this is a damage dealing unit that goes and fights stuff, and it fights stuff really, really well. Although, in an age of infantry, holding objectives, actually 5 attacks with D3 + 2 is still great.
Yes, still doing damage to those guys. Doesn't have to fight them straight on. He can also, fly over them, get a rear charge, have extra combat res. He's really good. Also, just always bear in mind, guys, it flies. It doesn't look like it flies, but it does. I always forget that it flies.
It's so fast.
It's one of my mind breaks.
It's so fast. And ultimately you can it is pretty cheap. 200 points to just sling a devastating nuclear bomb at your opponent and just make them have to deal with it and take multiples of them. It's not Steam Tank priced. So you're taking at least 2 of these and just slinging them at your opponent, and that's a problem.
Yeah, hands down one of the best monsters in the game, unridden monsters in the game for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we've got the last 2 pieces, the artillery pieces.
Here we go.
First one is a Screaming Skull Catapult. Take us through it, bud.
All right, sure. This one actually is a really useful utility piece for a lot of armies. 105 points. It's got toughness 6, 3 wounds. And then skeleton crew that comes with it. It's equipped obviously with the Screaming Skull Catapult. It's on a 60 by 100, so pretty big. And it may have the Skulls of the Foe special rule for 20 points, so that'll get you to 125. It's Dry as Dust. It's an Indomitable 1, a Nehekhara Undead, regen 6+, and Skirmishers. And then the Screaming Skull Catapult itself is range 12 to 60 inches. It's strength 4, 8 in the middle, AP 1, and then AP -3 in the middle. So that's pretty good. It's got AP and strength 4 outside of the hole. That's pretty good. Bombardment, cumbersome, flaming attacks, magical attacks, move or shoot, multiple wounds, D3 +1 in the center, I do believe, and Screaming Skulls. Note, this weapon shoots like a stone thrower using the bombardment special rule, using a 3-inch blast template and the stone thrower misfire table. The multiple wounds D3 +1 rule applies only to a single model whose base lies underneath the central hole of the blast template. So this does give you an opportunity to snipe things, but it also has some cool rules. Screaming Skulls, any unit that suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds from this weapon must make a panic test as if it had taken heavy casualties. Real handy. Again, even if they are falling back in good order, if they're a little too close to that board edge, you just kill a unit by making them fall back. Until your next start of turn subphase, this is Skulls of the Foe, so this is for 20 extra points. You're probably going to want to do it. Until your next start of the turn subphase, any enemy unit that was within 2d6 in the central hole of the blast template after scattering suffers a -1 modifier to its leadership characteristic to a minimum of 2.
That's amazing.
So, very useful.
Yeah. That's amazing, especially because you stack that. You have 2 of them, drop them down. There's nothing saying that you can't there. What's crazy is this reads a little bit like a Hell Cannon, apart from it's 150 points cheaper. You can get 2 of these for 1 Hell Cannon, and it's twice as good. So it's
Justice
like
for the Hell Cannon.
Yeah, yes, but also like, you know, you read it, a stone thrower, you know, a template that you can drop on people. I think it really has its place, and it's really important if you're planning on playing Tomb Kings as well. You know, we should have said this. I think we did say this at the top, but you now can change the tempo of how a game works. I can sit at the back of the board with artillery pieces, throw them at my opponent, throw stuff at my opponent, score points, make stuff run off the board, and immediately my opponent is down points and they have to start to try to fight us, which is good.
Yeah, you ignore the Screaming Skull Catapult at your own peril, and as noted, there's lots of things causing you peril in this army. It can be a very heavy pressure type army. So yeah, it's a very cool utility piece, I think.
Absolutely. And lastly, we got the Casket of, let me make sure I'm right on that. Yes. Lastly, but it's not going to be quick, is the Casket of Souls.
This is a great piece. Go ahead.
It's a great piece. So it's toughness 6, 4 wounds. It's 135 points. So it's 30 points more. It is a long range weapon. It's got Cleaving Blow. It's got Covenant Power. Its own special rule. Dry as dust. It's an immovable object, so it doesn't move. It's indomitable too. It's got 5-up regen, and it's got Unbound Spirits and Vortex of Skulls. It's also a skirmisher as well, which is nice. So let's talk about
one great thing about being immovable is obviously with their reserve move spell. You actually can reserve move this. And that is shouted out in the FAQ. They said, yeah, absolutely. You can you can reserve move an immovable object, of course.
It's a magical move, which is different to that's immovable only means physical moves. Okay. Sure. So Covenant of Power, whilst within 12 inches of a Casket of Souls, friendly Lich Priest may apply +1 modifier to any casting rolls they make. Very strong in today's modern age. Where
I was just going to say that someone was probably yelling that at the screen when I was talking about they don't have access to casting roll modifiers in the Grand Army. So yes, that is very important. Yes.
+1 to the casting rolls they make, because in the match play, this is actually better than it was a year and a half ago, because that +1 is actually better. Additionally, any model, friend or foe, cast a bound spell within 12 inches Casket of Souls also applies +1 modifier to the casting roll. Okay. So, immovable object. So, basically, you can't move it. Once Casket has been placed, you can't move it unless, obviously, you do reserve moves. And then, Unbound Spirits. If the crew of the Casket of Souls is reduced to 0 wounds, immediately roll d6 for every unit, friend or foe, within 12 inches of the model. On a 4+, the unit suffers d6 strength 3 hits with no armor saves or regen permitted. Ward saves can be attempted. As normal. Once these hits are resolved, Casket of Souls are removed from play. So even if you do get a unit into the unit at the back, it's going to suffer some stuff, which you don't want. Okay, so what does this casket actually do? Well, it's got the Vortex of Souls. It's got 2 bound spells, I think. 2 casted? Yeah, 2 bound spells. I'm right thinking that? Yeah, the Casket of Souls is cast 2 bound spells, the power level of 3.
I believe that has been errated down to a 2.
Okay, so it's been taken down to a 2. All right, so the first one, Light of Death, is a magic missile, which is 36-inch range, which is crazy long. The target enemy unit must immediately make a leadership test. If the test is passed, it suffers d6 strength 3 hits with an AP of 1. If, however, the test is failed, it suffers d6 plus 3 strength 6 hits with multiple wounds 2. Special rule with no armor or regen saves permitted. Ward saves can be attempted. Now, don't forget, you've also got Necromancy as an available spell lore for this army. So you can reduce the leadership of enemy units down significantly. So now it's going to suffer. And you can take multiple Caskets of Souls. So you can cause some real issues. And the last one, Light of Protection, is a range 8 self-spell, and then remains in play while this bound spell is in play. This model and any friendly unit within 18 inches, massive range, has a 6-up ward save against any wounds suffered. In addition, whilst this bound spell's in play, enemy units suffer -1 modifier to any rolls to hit made against this model, and any friendly units within 18 inches of this model. However, if this model casts a Light of Death, a bound spells, it immediately expires. So an auto do the Light of Protection, I'd say.
Yeah,
6-up ward save army wide.
6-up ward save, and again that -1 to any rolls to hit made against this model. So, and that's just any rolls to hit. So that's combat and shooting. So that's pretty good. Yeah. And a 6+ ward save. So everyone pretty much has the 6+ regen. So you're getting the 6+, 6+. It's fantastic. This is why we see tons of caskets out there. I don't know if you see the double as much as you once did. Can we go up? I just want to have a quick look at the wording of the casket. I think this is the one where they ruled that you can't stack the plus to cast that it gives. I think that's what it was. The Covenant of Power.
Covenant of Power. But ultimately it's an amazing piece, and it's nice to finish the review on a piece that you almost always will be taking. Plus to cast for your army, it feels inherently valuable. The amazing pieces, the amazing spell, and also army-wide 6+ ward save is silly dumb to be able to take, especially on the sheer number of models and that you can put into the board. So that's great as well. Obviously, you got to be able to cast it, but seeing as it's going to be at the back of the board and you can project that 18 inches forward, and your opponent's wizards have to get close enough to stop you, it feels clutch. So absolutely brilliant. That's it. That's everything.
No notes. I think it is a very good thing. Yes, agreed.
Good. So Tomb Kings, that's everything.
Yes.
What do you think?
That was a lot deeper than I thought it was. I thought the Tomb Kings were a little more boring as far as roster choice is concerned. Again, especially compared to their brothers and sisters in the Wet Undead. But no, there's a ton of stuff going on there. I guess we did kind of say that, but lots of really cool monsters. Obviously, some way better than others. Scorpions and Necrosphinxes leading the charge there, but lots of interesting infantry with different jobs. Really, only 2 completely dud units, I think, in the Warsphinx and in the Skeleton Horsemen, just your regular cavalry. So as far as an army to have fun and play different builds with, seems like a big winner. Turns out after all this time, who knew? Tomb Kings are good.
Yeah, I think ultimately when we do the next review, when we look at the Armies of Infamy, I think problematically because the Armies of Infamy came out exactly the same time as the Grand Roster.
Yeah.
And we had some very problematic builds available from Mortuary Cult. Immediately, you're stacking what seems like a strong book with a bunch of strong things on top of it. Which is, and also maybe because of that, people haven't really explored all of the different builds and ways you can play. It's worth remembering, if you go back and watch our stats video from last week, the sheer number of people playing the old world there's a lot of people playing it, a lot of people collecting it, a lot of you watching it, and thank you for that. But actually, the number of iterations of armies that you see on the tabletop, actually not that much. People sometimes are intimidated. They're like, are you okay?
Yeah, we're all right.
All right.
Just dropped my coffee mug. Sorry about that.
All right, that's fine. But what I was saying is this. I still think that there's room for inspiration in list writing and putting stuff on the tabletop, especially because necessarily the skill expression isn't super high even when you attend events. So what a wide book and so many options to choose from.
Yeah, and I think as always, there's going to be best in slot choices, but I think you can spot a lot of places there where you can swap things out and try things that are different. Even with we're alluding to mortuary cults, which I'm sure we'll discuss soon, as being sort of a dominant force, but a lot of times you don't see mortuary cult taken because you do lose a lot of combat power by not being allowed to take a Tomb King in that army. So you do see the Grand Army quite a bit, even though they had or have a really good Army of Infamy available to them. So, yeah, and then Royal Host, which we'll talk about, used to be quite limited by the fact that it couldn't take the level 4 caster, but nowadays maybe not so much. Maybe Cetra will ride with his Royal Host with lots of chariots and have some fun.
I hope you've enjoyed the deep dive. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Val. We'll see you all soon. Loads of love, and keep being dusty. I think.
Yeah.
Or keep giving them the bone. I don't know what your war cry is.
Perhaps you have a bone to pick with somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, hope you found this episode humorous. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Oh.